across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and the polls have closed in Gorton and Denton. I'll give you my own opinion, and then we're going to go straight to David Bull, who is the party chairman of Reform UK. I honestly think what is going to be really interesting here is the extent to which Labour is able to retain its base in Denton. That is just because, effectively, Gorton is in Manchester City Council area. You know, it's got a load of sort of lefty, public secretary type people, young people, and a large Islamic vote who appear only interested in Gaza, which of course is of interest, but is not really significant because it's quite an unusual place. Whereas Denton is just a kind of red wall town, like so many of them, like I guess the Lees and the Wigans and the places like that, that Reform UK really need to win. So I'm saying, whether Reform win or lose, what will be interesting is their performance in Denton. So that's my view, and I think it's important to bear in mind, the reason why I say it doesn't matter whether they win or lose, though clearly they want to, is because Gorton is 2/3 of the seat and Denton is only 1/3. So if they've done extraordinarily well in Denton, it will be significant, but they won't have won the seat necessarily. Anyway, with all that in mind, let's go to David Bull for his view. Where is it?
Hello, very good evening, gentlemen.
Hi,
good evening.
What are you hearing? What's the latest you're hearing?
Well, look, I think that was an amazing summation, actually, by Andre. It is very, very tight. This is a three-way marginal. Just to put this into some sort of context for you, I am so proud as party chairman with the campaign we have fought. I'm not just saying that, actually. It has been exuberant. It's been energetic. It's been really uplifting. We have talked about all the issues that matter to people in Gorton and Denton. Matt, our candidate, has worked incredibly hard. He's been out every single day of this campaign. John, who's run this campaign, needs an enormous shout out. This has been an incredible feat. We've had 5,000...
Yeah, but you want to win, don't you? You want to win.
Well, hang on a minute. All I would say, 5,000 volunteers and supporters have been out. Now, normally, in a by-election, you don't see those kind of numbers. And then today, for getting out the vote, we had over 1,000 people knocking on doors. 1,000 people. That's amazing. Now, just in terms of where we are, this is Labour's 6th safest seat, right? So it's their 6th safest. If you look at ours and you look at our seats, this is our 440th. So actually, when you look at it on paper, we shouldn't even feature. For the Greens, this is their 121st seat. So it should really be a match between the Greens and Labour. But the fact it's a three-way marginals tells you something that's going on. And Andre, you're absolutely right about the demographic makeup of Gorton and Denton. Certainly, and I've been there for the last 4 weeks on and off. Our base is much stronger in Denton, as you might expect. We do have support in Gorton. What I am seeing across the board, though, is the Labour vote collapsing. Now, Keir Starmer did go, didn't he? But he must think that actually his vote has held up. I heard today Zach Polanski on the train coming back from Gorton, not sure if he's won. So actually, I don't, just in terms, I'm just watching the numbers coming in, but I think it's too close to call.
The left could split the vote and, you know, you sail through the middle.
Well, that's right. Absolutely right. And that's what I'm hoping. The other thing you need to look out for is actually the weather, because we know that our supporters are hardy souls and they're likely to go out in all weathers and go and vote because they're so upset about the state of the country. Yes. The other thing I would say actually about this campaign is we were on the doorstep. I was talking about things that matter. So immigration, you know, Andre, the boarded up shops, the tobacco, the vape shops, the Turkish barbers. People are sick and tired of this. They actually want cheap energy. They want lower energy costs. They want to see their neighbourhoods back together. And you've got the Greens campaigning for 33% of that vote, which is Muslim. Yes. And so you're seeing sectarian politics rising and rearing.
Well, the postal votes. The postal votes affects a lot of things, don't they?
Now, I don't have the numbers on the postal votes yet, but again, that will play significantly into the result. I think this is going to be incredibly close. Now, just to give you an idea, for us to win this, we need an 18.5% swing. In Runcorn, when Sarah won with 6 votes, we had a 17.5% swing. So for us to win this would be very, very difficult, but it's possible.
Yeah, but in a sense, look, I'm not saying this because I'm sympathetic to Reform. In a sense, you can't lose, and I'll explain why. Because the seat was virtually impossible to win. It's not really your target market, the Gorton bit isn't. And the critical thing for you will have been to deliver the party organisation, because I remember going to Runcorn, and I'm not being disrespectful to Reform members, but of course you had this, data analytics system. You were handing people canvas sheets, and they'd never seen one before. Whereas, you or I would have known what to do with it. And there was just that simple thing that these people were not political activists.
Well, that's right. And of course, since then, we have professionalised. I've brought in a massive IT system. I've been chairman, 7 months now. We have changed the way we operate enormously. And actually, the technology has proved itself to be incredibly worthwhile. So we can see in real time where our data is, actually the response on the doorstep. So for people who don't know how elections work, today is not about canvassing. Today is knowing where your vote is, knocking them up and getting them out. Now, at about 9 o'clock tonight, we still had 500 people out knocking on doors.
Yes.
That's incredible. I was talking to Suella Braverman yesterday, and she said in all her days at the Tory party, she's never seen anything like this.
Yeah,
so,
it was
hopefully hard work will reward us.
Campaign headquarters was impressive as well, I suppose. And look, we are in an age of kind of political violence, and people are always encouraging people to throw milkshakes at Nigel Farage and whatever. I noticed that you had significantly upped the security from previous by-elections. Is that in response to anything in particular, or were you just nervous?
Well, I think this is the sad sort of times we live in, isn't it? The fact is that as chairman, I also have protection when I'm travelling on a train. What sort of country are we living in? And that's actually reflecting what people are saying on the doorstep, which is they don't feel safe anymore. The fact is that you can nick 200 quid's worth of stuff from Tesco and no one does anything about it. I mean, all of this should not happen. We should have zero tolerance of all crime. And that's the other thing, actually. One of the biggest issues on the doorstep was crime, not feeling safe. I spoke to a couple who've lived there for 25 years, and they said if they could afford to move, they would move tomorrow, because it's not the close-knit communities that it once was. You've got nothing holding people together. As I mentioned, this Muslim vote, 33%, but not integrating with the rest of the community. Now, that can't be right.
What about Keir Starmer in all of this? Because, first of all, look, I don't want to cast aspersions, but I think it's pretty obvious why the Metropolitan Police were reluctant to arrest Lord Mandelson, because it would undermine Labour's by-election campaign. But this whole issue of the humble address, where damaging information is supposed to be published, and Keir Starmer is simply defying Parliament. I mean, I think that's pretty grotesque. That is effectively using your power as a government to cover up the wrongdoing of the Labour Party in order to do over Nigel Farage in the by-election.
Well, that's what they tried with cancelling the elections, which they failed.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because it was Reform UK that fought that. We took that to the High Court and we won. And actually, that's thanks to our amazing barrister, but it was actually a point of democracy. They tried to stop 4.5 million people having the vote. Now, only dictators cancel elections, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm delighted that swathes of the country, like my neck of the woods in Suffolk, they will now get the opportunity to vote. And actually, personally, that's now had a huge knock-on effect in terms of the areas that I'm now visiting. I've got another 4.5 million people to go and see, which I wasn't quite expecting to do. But so everything is ramping up to May the 7th. But here's Starmer. He's in office, but he's not in power. He is a walking dead Prime Minister, I think. And what you're seeing, and this goes back to what's going on. You're seeing Labour in factions fighting, but you've got the Green Party offering nothing apart from talking about Gaza, decriminalising all drugs, and having mass immigration into the country.
And they could win on that.
I don't want that.
What does it mean? Say they do win it, and they could well win it. What does that mean for?
They could well win.
What does this mean for our democracy, that we've got these sort of people that are sort of subversing it and using it against us, our own democracy?
Well, I think that's what people are so frightened of, is actually it's an unrecognisable country. You can't have open border policy and allow anyone into the country. It is just a fool's errand, all of this. But when you look at Hannah Spencer, as far as I can see, what she did and what she added to the political debate today was dance on the road. Now, that is not what people want. They want a constituency MP who will deal with the potholes, who will deal with the cost of energy, who will actually deal with their substandard housing, why there aren't enough houses being built, and so on and so forth. This is not an election on
But it doesn't work like that, does it? With sectarian voting, they just go, right, we're voting for this and everyone's doing that, and this is why they need to put a stop to it.
Well, I think that's right. And I think we're reaching a tipping point. And Nigel was one of the first people to talk about this, but actually we're seeing it across the country. And talk viewers will freely express their views on this. They're not happy about the direction this country is going in. And you know that. I know that from when I had my breakfast show on talk TV, that people are very angry about the levels of immigration, both legal and illegal.
Yeah, I find it... Look, if I was reading some of the old documents about what happened in Iran, and the reality is there are pages and pages of this. Isn't it great that the left and the Islamists are getting together? The Ayatollah's going to be a left-wing and a religious figure, and all he did was shot all the lefties. I mean, Zach Polanski, if he manages to deliver what he wants to deliver, which is a pro-Gaza Islamist vote, he'll be the first one they shoot.
Well, that's right. I mean, the irony, and either he's incredibly clever and that he's galvanizing that vote. And what's interesting to me is, having spoken to lots of young people there this week, is that they think they're voting for a party which is about the environment and having clean air. It's not that. It's a radical left-wing party. It's way to the left. But actually their voters can't see that. So in many ways, I think they're being quite duplicitous in terms of the electoral messaging that they're sending out. But you're right, of course, they could win.
What about the next thing, which has been hinted at, the reluctance of the Greater Manchester Police to deal with grooming in Gorton? Now, not necessarily related to the by-election, but...
I mean, it's outrageous, isn't it? I think the police are scared of the electorate. And the fact is that if people have committed an offence, it needs to be investigated thoroughly and people need to be brought to justice. It's as simple as that. It is not fair on those communities. You cannot turn a blind eye just because you're worried about the racial implications of that. All people are equal under the eyes of the law, and that's the way it should be.
When are we getting I mean, it's looking like it's very close between three parties, but it's looking like Green or Reform will win. When will we find out, and are you hearing anything?
Well, good question. So I'm thinking 3:15, 3:30 a.m. will be the first result. If there's a recount, we could go to about 6:30. So I might be up all night. In fact, I probably will be up all night.
Yeah. And what's just as a party chairman, what's your life like? What do you get up to on a daily basis?
What don't I get up to? Let me just no. I mean, I wish I had time to get up to anything. No. So I have gone around the country. I've been talking in village halls, working men's clubs. You know that. We spoke on the phone earlier today. The fact is that I am going around doing what actually politicians used to do, which is to build support from the grassroots. We're the only party that does this. You know, suddenly in Gorton and Denton, you've got politicians from Labour and from the Greens who've no interest in this area suddenly parachuted upon them. So people, quite frankly, are sick and tired of that kind of politics. What I would say is that, let's take Liverpool, for example, 80% Labour voters normally. They've dropped to 40%.
Yes.
We're seeing Reform at 30%.
My favourite story is Lee East Labour Club has banned the Labour Party and invited Reform to hold their meetings there. I mean, Reform have refused because it's a Labour club, but I think it's a direction of travel. But I think that is the interesting thing, David, more than anything else. I think it's the small towns where you're really spiking, isn't it?
I think it's passionate, articulate, patriotic Brits across the board, actually.
Yep. Which, I mean, this by-election was because of a Labour MP attacking the sort of working-class residents, wasn't it? So
that's right.
Tells you everything.
While saying terrible things about their constituents. What I think these constituency MPs need to understand is that they're there to look after their constituents. They're not there to pontificate on world events. And that's why, actually, if the Greens win, I think it's a very sad and dark day for democracy.
How divisive has the election been? Simply because I think Matt Goodwin, I saw him, I think it was in the Telegraph, talking about the fact that he is often accused of being divisive because he's the Reform Party. But actually, you know, the Green Party have literally issued leaflets in multiple languages and just said this is all about Gaza.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So they have printed leaflets in Urdu. By the way, I had them translated, and it was really very unpleasant about us. And it simply isn't true what they've been writing. And they are appealing to a sectarian audience, to a Muslim audience. Now, surely the one thing that we need to do is to come together as a country and not to have a divided country. Have we not learned anything from this? And I think these kind of politics are very, very dangerous in terms of dividing the nation and causing trouble.
The Labour Party's been doing it for years, and they've learnt the error of their ways now, because the reality is, I saw Jacob Rees-Mogg, and I think he made a reasonable point about this this whole, are these migrants or colonists? And what he says is, he said, if what you do is vote based on the political agenda of your home country, then you are a colonist rather than an immigrant. And I think that is something that Labour have encouraged. They've encouraged the Pakistani community not to assimilate, and now the Greens are doing the same thing.
Exactly right. And of course, as I say, and I started off by saying that actually what people want is cheap energy. They don't want net zero, the folly of net zero. They want to be able to get on the housing ladder. They want jobs. You've got 1 million kids, 18 to 25-year-olds, not in education, employment or training. What are we doing about that? Nothing. Then you've got the housing crisis. And of course, then we're not building enough houses. So the successive governments have said 1.5 million homes will be built over a 5-year period. Never happened. So is it any wonder that people are disaffected? They don't want to work. And of course, then we locked up all the kids in COVID.
Yeah.
So they've had a terrible ride.
Andrew, would you say Sir Jim Radcliffe's right? We've been colonised because, cultures have come here, usurped our culture and taken it over. Isn't that the correct word?
Well, I think it is right, actually. What I would say is that you are welcome to come to this country, but you actually abide by our rules, our laws, you learn English, and we are one community together. And if you don't like it, don't come.
And be a net contributor.
Can I divert off onto a slightly different subject? I'm extremely concerned about vaccines in this country. I think the British government were deeply, deeply irresponsible to say that the COVID vaccine was 100% safe 100% of the time, because it just didn't make any sense. Obviously, the indemnifying the drug companies once again was done because they had to rush it out. And I just feel now that what has happened is that vaccine programme was so badly handled in terms of the optics that now, if there were to be a cancer vaccine tomorrow that genuinely worked and was genuinely safe, I think the uptake would be quite poor. How can we get this back?
Well, you make a great point, and I want to make a distinction between all of the traditional vaccines and the COVID vaccine. They're very different. And remember, what they told us was false. They said it stopped you getting it. They also said it stopped you passing it on. Both of those were untrue. I, as a medic, went on television and said to people, you need to take this vaccine, it's safe. So I was lied to. I then propagated that lie, which the government gave me. They knew that was not the case. And as a result, people have had vaccine injury. My mum got a vaccine injury, which I'm still incredibly angry about. She now has a condition caused by that vaccine. But what we're seeing as a result... Do you mind
telling us what thing was it? A tinnitus?
She now has myeloma. She has a blood cancer, which I can link back to that blinking vaccine.
And have cancer rates shot up from that time?
We have definitely seen an increase in cancers as a result. Well, what I can say is we've definitely seen an increase in cancers, which aligns with that vaccine. Now, whether it is cause and effect is very difficult to say. What I can say is that what many physicians are saying is, in some ways, the third vaccine seems to unlock your immune system. So those cancers which may have been held at bay may then start sort of going off on a galloping trot. I think the simple message here is that actually the government wasn't honest with the public. And so therefore the government, that now the people are pushing back. And the real travesty is that we are now seeing kids and the immunisation rates for MMR, measles, mumps and rubella going through the floor. And so therefore, as a result, these kids will get long-term sequelae.
One of the problems I've got, and I've seen, funnily enough, I happened to be in a pub one day and somebody asked you about a medical problem. So obviously anyone who is a doctor is in a very trusted position. And it may well be that you're going to inject something into my blood, which is one of the most invasive things you can do, and I have to trust you. And if you don't know whether something is safe because the government has lied to you, the whole pyramid starts to collapse.
Right, 100% right. And I think that's where the distrust of the medical profession came from, and we need to rebuild that. But again, I never, ever want to see governments lie in the way they did. They should have been open and honest. And what people didn't realise was when you signed the form for the COVID vaccine, you were basically removing all your rights. You can't do anything. You basically were signing a waiver.
Yes.
I mean, all of this is wrong. And the other thing, and I feel very passionately about this, we should never have vaccinated kids. They were never at risk.
No,
and they forced us into it. If you wanted to go to the football, if you wanted to go to this, you had to have it, and that's you shouldn't be able to pressure people. I also thought
it was remarkable to go through Soho, particularly in the gay.
It's always remarkable to go through Soho.
But there was a large gay club that had a sign on saying that you weren't allowed in if you couldn't prove that you didn't have COVID. And I thought, you know what?
Could you prove it?
Viral status is not something that's ever been a prohibition in this country. You're not normally allowed to be ill. Sorry, you're not normally banned from things for being ill. But what is the difference between saying you can't come in if you've got COVID or you can't come in if you've got HIV? I would have thought the gay community would have been more alive to this issue.
Discrimination.
But it shows just how we sleptwalked into that dystopian state, didn't it? And actually, the government had the COVID passport ready to go. Are you telling me they managed to develop that overnight? Of course they didn't.
Well, we've got facial recognition now, so if they do a lockdown we'd go out, you get a ticket, you get the police, you know what I mean? You couldn't even go out in the street now secretly with your coffee.
Boys, I'm really sorry. I have
you've
to
got
run
to go,
off and do a news night, actually.
Thanks, Dr. Dave. That was really good, man. Good luck with tonight,
Cheers.
Thank you.
We did know that.
Very much.
We did know that, don't worry. OK, let's go to a break.
Yeah, let's go to a break. 03444991000. We've got Pete Barnes going to be talking all about the Gorton and Denton by-election as the results come in, and we'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
I hosed you there, didn't I? Everyone ordered a water. I got one, and you just got left out.
And a latte, please, guys.
OK, look, you've heard what Dr. David Bull, the chairman of Reform, has got to say. Pete Barnes is a political commentator. He's from Greater Manchester, although the other side of the city. What do you think?
The better side.
Well, I have to admit, Dr. Bull's assessment there was a little generous, if I'm being brutally honest.
Why?
Because he didn't really mention this thing called Patricia Clegg. Or this letter where they sent out 81,000 of these kind of handwritten, what looked like a handwritten letter from a constituent that didn't exist, and they ended up in the High Court over this.
Yeah.
Luckily, they judged, for them anyway, the judge said that it was an administrative error. But if they're now saying they're a professional party, they shouldn't be making that level of mistake, because in a general election, the rules are very different, and you know they actually will come after Reform very hard. So they've got to really bump that ideas up. This is going to be one of the most fascinating by-elections we've ever had in this country.
Do we know whether Labour have held up in Denton? Is there any way of knowing?
Well, I think the fact that we don't know is just as interesting, because you'd think it would be collapsed and not even there. But they're still in this as a three-horse race. I think
it's so ingrained in that community. There'll be a Labour voter,
and it's the most interesting thing is because it's what they call a Frankenstein seat. It's a bit of everything all stitched together after the last boundary review. So what we're really going to see now, and I think this is my prediction for most of the rest of the country and the country's existence, really, we're seeing European-style kind of politics within the two-party system, and it doesn't work because of how fragmented everything has become. The kind of first-past-the-post system is not designed for it, so we're going to see so much factionalism, so much tactical voting that will play a huge factor in these results. Because like Dr. Bull was saying, if we talk about local issues, most of the reporting seems to be that Matthew Goodwin has gone very hard on anti-Starmer, anti-national government, bigger issues, not necessarily the local stuff, which is what the Green Party has.
But he presumably, look, at Friday prayers, they will be saying Friday prayers at the mosque, Nigel Farage is an Islamophobe, and if you want to save Gaza, vote Green.
Yes.
That's what they're going to be saying.
Yeah, so you're not going to change your vote for Green. They're going to have their set voters because no one with their right mind would vote for them. It's just...
See, that's interesting you say that.
So Farage is not going to pick up the Muslim vote, is he? Let's be honest.
No, but this is the point, is that it goes back to what you were saying earlier about the kind of the distribution of the vote. But it is interesting you bring up that point about will they switch. 66% of voters from the Labour Party said they would vote Green, or Green would vote for the Labour Party to keep out reform. Right. This is the real test that we've all been talking about for a long time, about this anti-Nigel Farage vote. We're going to see how powerful it actually is and how organised it is, because I tell you now, one of the most dramatic events and most important events was George Galloway stepping aside. That could have split the Muslim vote, and it could have taken the Greens clean out of this game. So the fact that he didn't shows it could be an orchestrated move, or it could just be... We don't know, because he held 10% of the last general election.
Does it upset you that we're talking about the Muslim vote?
Not really, no, because
the fact it exists.
It always has. And I just think now it's just rather in the forefront, which it should have been, like, from our side of perspective.
But you were literally, I mean, you were literally talking about people who, I mean, if issues of concern to the Muslim community might be, as an example, the status of Uber, might be, as an example, regulation of the takeaway industry. These are things that a lot of Muslims are in. It's not. It's Israel is evil and Gaza needs to be free. That is it.
Certainly not environmental.
Okay. But then you do have to remember, though, that if you've got family in Gaza, it's not a foreign affairs issue. It's a very local one. It's a personal issue. But this is what I'm saying, is that the way that it is marketed by the Green Party is that. They're saying that it is a local issue because you've got family, because you've got a connection there. As we always say...
but they're not Palestinians, though, are they?
I'm not here to defend the argument. I'm just saying that's what they did. That's what they've been shown to be doing, and it is shown to be very effective. This Hannah Spencer woman, she's very capable. So it is interesting because she's been able to switch to do this kind of working class.
It's a bit like Angela Rayner. She reminds me a bit of Angela Rayner.
So this is going to be huge, because if the Green Party actually win on this idea of switching to a more working class vote, it is a bit of a problem for Reform, who think that they've got most of the working class vote. So it is all about kind of, even if somebody loses, it's how badly do they lose, which tells us a lot more. But do you agree with me that we should look more at Denton than Gorton and Denton? Yes,
I just think that's more of a...
Oasis from Gorton, aren't they?
I think they are, actually,
So they'll like the legalise the drugs bit as well.
But this is also the other thing, is that it has been reported that Reform have just kind of ignored the Muslim vote and gone very heavy into the working class kind of area.
Because they know they're not going to get
But this is also going to be a test to see how good their narrative of this kind of their version of the right-wing populism is actually going to be.
How did Matt do, though? Did it, the Reform candidate?
Unfortunately, he's had a bit of a doozy, because, he said that people without children should probably face a tax, and, he said it takes more than a piece of paper to become a British citizen, which didn't go down very well.
Oh, that's true.
So it's going to be interesting, because he was a bit of a liability.
But the reality,
I like the guy, but
the reality is, the Muslim vote have been told meticulously that Britain is a key ally of Israel, which is not.
No.
It's a massive supply of weapons to Israel, which we're not. And Keir Starmer's number one political issue is supporting Israel, which it isn't. But they're just now wound up about Gaza. I'm telling you.
He recognised the Palestinian state, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
but then you do have to remember, though, that on the reverse of this, the right has done the same thing. It's wound everybody up. So this is the big thing. The vote and the ballot box is now just a weapon against the other side. You're not voting for your side. You're voting against the other one.
I remember.
So this is where this kind
a
of
bit like a general election.
Yes, but it's going to be every election.
My mate ran in Tooting. We went to Tooting Mosque, and we were talking to Iqbal Sakrani. Why they knighted him, I've got no idea. Well, we all know why they knighted him, but he's a bit dodgy. Anyhow. They said the number one issue they asked in Tooting was about the status of Jerusalem.
Yes.
Right. And we said, or the candidate said, well, I think it'd be quite nice if we had Jerusalem, governed under a religious authority of all three religions. And they nodded along. My mate went to Friday prayers, and they stood up and they went, the Conservative candidate does not want Jerusalem given to the Muslims. Do not vote for it.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was no let's all be fair-minded and reasonable. Because there is an attitude now. I find it deeply frustrating where Muslim issues must take priority. If the Muslims want Gaza, then they have to have it. If Muslims want Israel, they have to have it. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, I do, and it is very concerning that our politics is becoming very transactional.
Yes.
So if you say a certain thing, you will get that vote, and I think that is a very dangerous place for us to be because it only divides us even more. There's no real none of the candidates.
Well, that's
here,
what those 5 seats at the general election.
Yes,
were.
but one of the thing is, I would say, is no candidate here has run a kind of. We're for the whole constituency. It's been very targeted, very individual, very kind of community-based, very identity-based politics on all sides, and I don't think that is good because in a general election it's going to be a chaos.
What are they doing in terms of targeting and profiling of voters? I've not been in politics for quite some time.
Yeah.
How sophisticated are the systems now? Because I know the Conservative Party had a system that could use your nectar card, but it wasn't legal to use it.
Yeah,
it was built.
You didn't get any points.
No, unfortunately, no. You got points on your licence, I imagine. But I
mean, the Conservative Party system was developed in the United States of America, and it just worked out which way you were going to vote based on what mayonnaise you bought.
Yes,
basically.
And I can tell you now, it's still all this kind of stuff still exists, and it is even more powerful because of AI, and it is all this modelling. However, this is literally a pollster's nightmare. No current modelling can give us any kind of national extrapolation from this result. So no matter what anybody says, just because you've won does not mean you've taken the country by any stretch of the imagination because of how close everything is and the hyper-localism of these votes. So we don't really...
But here is one thing. What?
Oh, they're from Burnage, sorry.
Oasis. If you went into that constituency and said, I will vote for whoever's going to beat Nigel Farage, how would you know who to vote for? Because I don't think it's that obvious.
So this is actually quite an interesting one. It's about how sophisticated these groups have become. However, there was a bit of a problem for the Labour Party and this group called Tactical Choice. They made a ghost organisation up and to basically convince people that the Reform were, that the Green Party were a threat and all the rest of it, so you had to vote for the Labour Party. There was a complete fabrication. It was also the tactics and the standards of politics that in this election have been diabolical. But it is interesting to see how people were convinced by this, and the fact that so many people are willing to do this is a big concern because, again, you're not voting for something, you're voting against something.
And what about our chums in the Metropolitan Police defending Mandelson and the humble address being ignored?
Yes, so it's interesting, actually. Mandelson has played a huge role in this because it's added a layer of complication for what they call valiance politics. In other words, your trustworthiness, your kind of character is also on the ballot box. So this is where a lot of candidates have kind of fallen down, particularly the Labour one and the Tory one in particular. But yeah, the national issues can't be ignored, but it is interesting that Mandelson has come up on the doors. When you look at the polling, I think it's about 35% have recognised it as an actual story linking the Labour Party and the Epstein situation, all of it together as one thing.
Right, well, we've got to take a little breaky, but give us a ring, 03444991000. Now the verification process is starting, and they'll start counting, and we'll know the turnout soon, basically. So give us a ring.
Just to explain, the verification is just to confirm the total number of ballots they're expecting is the total number of ballots they've got. So they know how many people have voted by ticking it off.
03444991000. Give us a ring about that and what you think is going to go on across the country in the next election. Pete says it's not going to make any difference to that, and it's all about what mayonnaise you have. 87222, text the word talk if you want to message us, or you can send a WhatsApp message on that number again, 03444991000. It's Talk with Andre and Ash and Pete Barnes. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on On your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
I don't know, Pete. What do we reckon David Bull did? Because if you were watching him on the TV, he had curtains in the background. It looked like a hotel. And then he went straight to the studio.
Well, you have to remember where the studio is Media City, so there's loads of big hotels literally all lit round that BBC.
And
so
it's
very possible you could have
minutes.
walked. You could have walked it if he's at say the
he can transmogrify into a hawk as well.
Can you imagine?
Could you actually, Dr. Bull? Yes. For some reason.
What is Zach Polanski's game?
So he's running what we call the Mendami campaign. So
the
basically,
hypnotist.
it's very social media heavy. He's avoiding massive criticism. He's avoiding any kind of scrutiny. He's avoiding all these big debates and all the rest of it. And he's basically doing it all online. He's big on TikTok and on Twitter and particularly Instagram as well now. So yeah, you can't knock this guy. We want to ridicule him, and he is an idiot. However, an idiot is still dangerous.
I've got to be honest with you. I was talking to some Jewish friends of mine about our old friend Jonathan Liss.
Oh,
do you remember? Lest we forget this story, somebody in my earpiece said the word self-hating Jew, which I said out loud, and he realised they were talking about him. But anyway, my point about anybody, and I'm really sorry to say this, but I think there's an old phrase in the United States of America that relates to the prom. You've got to dance with the one that brung you.
Yes.
Right. I think for a Jewish person to try and secure the jihadi vote is just a disgrace.
Yes.
And I have to say to you, if you think the Israeli Defence Force are crap, I get that.
Yeah.
But remember, there are kids who are 18 years old running into buildings under machine gun fire to try and protect their gang, if you like. And I think it's grossly disrespectful.
Yeah.
He also said, they had that. They wanted to say Zionism was racist to bring under vote, and they asked him. His mum was a Zionist. They said, "Is your mum a racist?" He didn't know what to do.
You also have to remember that somebody from within the Green Party literally went to counter-terrorism police over what has actually been going on within the Green Party kind of meetings and all the rest of it. And to actually say the police should probably have a look at them. The fact that wasn't headline and national news, I do not understand. If this was the Reform Party, I think this would have been everywhere.
Well,
they cover it up. I mean, it's like the rape gangs inquiry, Rupert. Nothing in the mainstream.
I thought that was diabolical as well.
Yeah.
But to bring it back just to the kind of the identity point over kind of all the religion, we are seeing sectarian politics very much in the forefront, and the kind of middle grounded people are being bullied out of this. The Lib Dems are non-existent. They're on track to lose their deposit. The actual traditional protest party is now irrelevant in British politics.
What about Nick Buckley? So I want to say one thing about Nick Buckley. I expect him to lose his deposit tonight. However, I go back to this point. Ben Habib, Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, right, should be talking to each other. Nick Buckley is a brilliant candidate and should have
He did well in the mayoral. He came second or third.
I got to say, he was on Woke with us one time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I will say, when it comes to advance, I said right at the beginning, Ben, don't run. Because the minute if they lose the deposit, that's it. Because if they Reform get to say, we crushed you, you're not even going to be able to keep your deposit. The bigger loss, even if you keep your deposit, would have been. It's not. I don't think it was the right move. However, a lot has changed since then because you've got the restore factor and all this kind of thing. So even now, if they do lose the deposit, the Rupert Lowe's not going away. This fracture is there. I don't like to say that it's a new one. It's just one that's been revealed to people that didn't to look at it.
But I'll tell you what was interesting about Rupert Lowe, and I know that he's very popular on this channel. Noticeable that when he launched Restore, he wasn't interested in negotiating with other people. No. He wasn't interested in working with Ben Habib or Nick Tanconi or anybody. It was simply another royal court. And there is the Nigel Farage royal court and there's the Rupert Lowe royal court. And basically, it appears to me, now forgive me if other people are going to disagree with this, that the fundamental argument between Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage is they both want to be the top dog, and that is their only political disagreement.
Yes, but so I can't think who it was. I think it was with Ian at one point. I was saying that this argument, the difference between these parties now isn't ideological. It's how far are you going. So it's on the issue of immigration, for example, it's how many are you deporting, how fast are you going to do it. It's not that they disagree on the idea of it. So this is where people don't really is where the Reform is really struggling to kind of put this kind of Restore group down, because it's their people, and the problem is Restore are looking at Reform as they're not authentic. So I've always said that the big problem that Reform have done is they've kind of let the dogs off the leash, because the narratives they use to attack the Conservative Party are now being thrown at them by Restore. Really.
I thought, by the way, Alex Phillips was actually beaten by Young Bob in that debate. And I'll tell you why. I think Young Bob's central point, I think she didn't hear it, actually. I think there may have been something in her earpiece that confused her. But what Young Bob basically said was this: if you want rid of these people, you can get them to self-deport by denying them infrastructure. So, as an example, if you are not going to assimilate in Britain, you need a halal meat shop, right? If you're not going to assimilate in Britain, you need a mosque. If you're not going to, you need government documents translated into Urdu. If those things don't happen, people who do not want to integrate will have to, either integrate or leave.
Yes,
and I thought Young Bob was right.
Yeah,
fundamentally, if you banned halal meat in the UK, a large number of people would choose not to stay.
Yeah, it's what
wouldn't they slaughter their own in there?
Yeah, it's what we used to call the hostile environment. That is literally what you were doing. You were creating an environment to which it was not that you were anti them. You just made it very difficult for people of that faith to live here. And I thought Young Bob argued it very, very well. But I do think it is interesting to, yet again, that the narratives of Reform, this kind of patriotism, this love of the country, their ancestry, the moment race has become an issue, they have disintegrated. Because Nigel Farage has never been able to get over this kind of race and the far right. The minute the Tommy Robinson kind of endorsement threw Matt Goodwin for a spanner. I mean, that was not... I didn't think that was going to be on the cards, I have to admit. But they've not handled these situations well. I mean, Layla Cunningham, she called something neo-Nazi on another channel and all this kind of stuff. They're not handling this well.
They're lashing out.
But here is the point.
Which makes them look more fragile.
I can say this as political commentators. Right. I am not going to slag off Tommy Robinson on this channel. I'll tell you why I'm not going to slag him off. Because the view of our viewers and the view of our listeners is there's enough communists slagging him off already, and that's it. And I think the point that I would always make is, yes, he is a multiple felon, but I'm more interested in whether he's right on what he's saying than his own personal
I wouldn't say he's far right, though. I mean...
well, this is half the problem. A lot of people are running around saying the far right didn't exist
he's working class.
Ago. And now there's people are
he's a working class white guy with an accent, because they go, oh, that's...
I mean, I must admit, I was walking around Manchester, and the UKIP lads came and said hello. They were some of the loveliest people I've ever met, but they looked like a cage fighting team. They are, I reckon. Do you know what? Right, I'll stop this discussion for a second. We were discussing the other day, me and my mates, of all the recent big beasts of politics, who do you reckon would win in a cage fight?
Nick Tanconi.
Tanconi
is winning this hands down. That man is just a solid lump of muscle.
Didn't he used to be some sort of cage fighter?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea, but I have to admit, he is winning this hands down. Him versus what? Nigel in a cage fight. Although I didn't know this.
I think Nigel would be competitive. I'll tell you what I thought.
What didn't you know, Peter?
Duncan.
He's a very good fencer, Nigel.
No, Duncan Box was on with. I can't think who was he on with. Anyway, he was telling this story about how he was there when Nigel was in the plane crash.
That's right.
And all this kind of stuff. I didn't know that. I thought it was quite interesting. But
apparently, the worst bit when Nigel said, and this is why it's uniquely traumatic. He said a plane crash takes about 8 minutes. You sat there going, "We are crashing. It's happening."
Yeah, his pictures of Duncan carrying.
Yeah, apparently, I didn't realise that it was that
hero.
Duncan
Barks, hero.
I wonder how. I thought to myself, I bet Danny Kruger would have a fair old go.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the one who would fall like a wet lettuce, I think, is
Mandelson.
Not Mandelson. Robert Jenrick. Robert Jenrick would windmill.
No,
and then he'd fall. Yeah.
The problem is with
he'd hide behind the big guy.
Richard Tice might be quite.
He'd have
a good long reach.
Yeah, what Tice would do? Tice would just be like a burr. He'd just claw you with his enormous
sharp knuckles.
With his enormous
like Andre the Giant kind of situation.
There he is.
I'll tell you what I also thought. I also thought that, I bet Ruth Davidson would have a fair old go, wouldn't she?
I mean, like,
Angela Rayner would take a stiletto off.
Yeah, she's throwing her back.
I think Angela Rayner would go in early, but lack stamina for a long term.
True.
Who would be?
This is a fun conversation.
Yeah. Also, I've got to say to you, I don't know who, but I bet some of the Northern Irish are not. I bet they've got a few tricks up their sleeve.
That's true. Well, you do have to remember. Let's not count Ed Miliband out because he was very happy to stab his brother in the front.
That's right.
He threw dirt in your face.
Who from the do you reckon if there was a fight on the Labour Party front bench, Starmer would fail, wouldn't he? Just be awful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually struggling to name people on the front bench.
Yeah.
That's how. Bridget Phillipson, she's the most dangerous one out of the lot of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
030. We got a message. Hi, I live in the Gorton side of the constituency. I think large swathe of the Gorton side of the area is being ignored. There's actually a large part of the area over parts of South Levenshulme and Pernage who are supporting reform. I've worked locally on local politics for 7 years, and it's not as simplistic as it's being reported. So there's a large part of the area which is typically aspiring families who are backing change. We've had a century of being able to put a donkey in a red rosette skewing Labour wins. These votes outside of the Muslim community are potentially going to reform. It's time between them.
So I think what they were saying was there's just an assumption that Gorton is younger people in flats, and that's not true.
Yeah. This is the one thing we do. Even though we are playing identity kind of politics, we can't make the broad stereotypes because the groups are very diverse, even within the kind of. But
I remember Thames Valley Police told me that what they do proactively when they see a house that's got no front garden, just block paving, when it's got certain types of cars, Mercedes or whatever, and net curtains, they knock on the door and they go, "Hello, it looks like you're an Asian," right? Because houses are a certain style in that way, and they say, there is a perception that houses like this are owned by Asian people, and there is a perception that Asian people keep a large amount of jewellery in the house. Have you kept it secure? Oh, didn't realise, blah, blah. Anyway, so we are assuming block paving, net curtains and Mercedes equals Muslim, but it was noticeable in Gorton that all the houses with those styling all had a Green Party poster.
Yeah, so that kind of what they used to call it's like Mondale man and the white van man. That kind of archetypes, they don't really fit anymore. It's a lot more kind of to do with your social media habits and what you do, and more importantly, what you don't pay attention to. That's the greater tell now that a lot of us kind of use to kind of build the archetypes up now. So it's like, do you turn off when this person comes on the TV, or will you sit and listen to it? That's a big.
Do they watch mainstream TV?
Well, not a lot of people do, but it's which bits do you actually flick on?
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I went into a shop.
That's never stopped you before.
In the 2015 general election, and it was just a Second World War memorabilia shop, which was edging towards the Germans. It wasn't all
flirted with it.
It wasn't all German stuff, and this bloke said, "Do you know what?
Oh no!
Nobody who comes in my shop is voting Labour." He said, I don't know anyone who's not voting UKIP. And I thought, but this is a very niche brand, isn't it?
Was it like that, Bruce Pulp Fiction? No, it was Pulp Fiction with the, where he's in the basement with the gimp.
It was. I thought to myself, look, militaria, particularly German Second World War militaria, doesn't appeal to your average communist.
Not really.
Does it? Let's be honest.
Under the counter. 03444 499 1000. It's Andre and Ash on Talk. Give us a ring, and if you're a bit scared, you can send us a WhatsApp voice message on that with Pete Barnes. We'll be back after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
We're just going to kind of cut into the show now because Hillary Clinton was forced to give evidence about her links with Jeffrey Epstein. As you know, the political left in the United States of America were absolutely desperate to attempt to smear Donald Trump with all of this. But as we know, the Clintons were much closer to Jeffrey Epstein. I think we can get it. Are we able to do that right now? Let's do it.
Yeah. It's the Epstein.
No. Oh.
We haven't got any audio, right? Yeah, mate.
That's rather funny.
Well, I have to say to you, that was at best disappointing, Pete.
Yeah, just a little. It is interesting, though, that they had to cancel and pull her out of this because there was a leaked photograph, because it was supposed to be whatever said is private, like it wasn't to the public. Somebody leaked a photograph from within it today, and they kind of had to cancel it and find whoever it was and all the rest of it. So
she says she's disappointed it wasn't a public hearing.
Yeah, of course she's going to say that whilst still attending the private one.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't forget, she's a public and private persona.
That's right. Her lawyers specified it had to be in private, but she was gutted about it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I don't like about Hillary Clinton.
How long have you got?
Yeah, well, I mean, she is somebody who says that we should be all for women's rights unless it's the woman that's accusing her husband. Yeah, in which case she will be absolutely venomous. She will try to subvert any decent due process. She will smear the women involved. She's just a giant hypocrite.
Yeah, it's quite funny, actually. The woman who's the greatest, she thinks she's the greatest advocate for women's rights, is actually hated by women, and it's women that kept her out of the White House. Simply because she stayed with Bill.
I've got to be honest with you. That I think the amazing thing about her is the Electoral College in the United States of America was invented to stop Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Because it's really easy to understand what you do in the Electoral College. It's just what is it? Total number of congressmen plus 2.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Right. So it's easy. So what it means that smaller states get a disproportionately larger number because everybody gets at least 2.
Yeah.
I think Rhode Island is the smallest delegates with 3. Yeah, because it's got 2 senators and 1 congressman. But anyway,
you can walk from one side of it to the other in an afternoon.
Yeah, the reason they created the Electoral College was to avoid the citizens of the 5 largest states outvoting everybody else, which they could do. So
it's a very smart way of doing it.
That is precisely what happened with Hillary Clinton. Somebody who's liked in a small number of states and hated everywhere else. They deliberately created the system to avoid electing her.
The American system is incredibly well constructed. And they knew exactly the problems. I mean, Thomas Jefferson literally wrote the Federalist Papers a warning about political parties, and we're living with the dangers of them now, the fact that they become the system. You know, it is funny that he went on to create the first political campaign, but there you go. He's not exactly perfect, but the American way of doing things is very, very good. However, wherever it's been tried since then, it's always ended up in a dictatorship. It's one of the worst exports of America.
We saw all the lawfare going on, didn't we? Although it didn't seem to work, did it?
Coming to shores near us, I'm afraid.
But it actually did show the watertightness because it didn't work, did it?
No.
So it is quite a good system.
But our system is not braced for that. Our political isolation of the law is going to be terrible.
Well, with the new way it was set up for just British people with it wasn't set up for sectarian voting, so the system needs to change, doesn't it? Yeah. Ashton says, hi, from my MRP polling taken in Gorton and Denton, it appears Labour are a percentage point behind, but there's around 0.2% between Reform and the Greens. It's too close to call.
Everything is too, which is absolutely fascinating in itself.
Will there have to be a recount then?
I think there'll be at least 2.
I worry about some of this because I remember when David Morris in Morecambe, every single poll between 2010 and 2015 put him behind. Every single one. Yeah. And then I looked at the detail and they polled 20 people. Then what they'd done is more people said they were voting for him than voting against him, but they applied an algorithm which then said, we've only spoken to 20 people and we're going to ignore what they said.
So the first time I ever get a poll, the first thing you look at it, when was it taken, how many people did they ask, and how did they take the poll? Those are the 3 big questions you always ask, and they'll tell you whether it's reliable or not, and if it's an outlier. A lot of the polls at the minute are very problematic because they use these kind of algorithms to kind of take a very small sample and do big national polling. It's not the best thing to do.
So what a poll does, and this is the bit that people don't understand, they ask 3,000 people, and then they apply a piece of maths to not give you the results of the 3,000 people.
Yeah.
They say, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
let's simply add 10% to Labour.
Yeah, so
or whatever.
the media obsesses over them, and I think they played a big factor in Keir Starmer getting elected because of how far the Tories were behind and all that kind of stuff. However, political campaigns now, what we tend to use is focus group data.
Yeah.
We're actually interested in the long conversations about what gets brought up, what doesn't, who stresses what thing, and those kind of things are much more interesting and more relevant to campaigning now than a poll is. A poll is just for a kind of shock, immediate on the day, that moment in time. But they play a huge factor in how voters actually think. So I think the media has to be a lot more careful in reporting.
I think the big problem you've also got is that, I mean, they just end up with things like, oh, we didn't get enough young mums, therefore we'll just add 5% to the Greens.
Yeah.
And you think, and when people go, we've surveyed 1,000 people and whatever.
How many responses did you get?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is the big thing. I do think
I'll tell you what's also
it could be a good podcast, actually, for we actually sit and we explain polling to people, because it's
I think
really, really
nobody will
important.
listen.
No, but people should.
I'll tell you what I always thought was odd.
People like me would.
I'll tell you what I've always thought was odd about polling. You know, Family Fortune have been asking 100 people for the past 40 years.
And it's very accurate.
And nobody,
very accurate.
Has anyone ever been stopped by Family Fortune?
We hear this one quite a lot. How you get asked to be in a poll is you sign up. So the problem of that is you've already got actively politically engaged people answering the poll. It's not necessarily just people on the street. So, you know, YouGov is a prime example. There's an app that you do, you get it every day. So you only get downloaded the app if you're politically engaged.
Did you see?
It doesn't
But
really
that's
make
not
any
how
sense.
Family Fortunes work. Les Dennis would go down a local high street with a clipboard and ask 100
Did you see that brilliant situation at YouGov with Dave Gorman, who went through it, and he worked out, it was saying the political leanings of people who liked various celebrities.
Oh, yes.
And it was literally people who liked Cheryl Cole were more right-wing than Hitler.
Yeah.
It came up with all these odd results,
yeah.
which was something like, if you liked Ant McPartlin, right, then you were left-wing. If you liked Declan Donnelly, you were far right.
Yeah.
And it's like, he was going, but surely people who like Ant like Dec.
Oh, no.
Right?
No, they're very different personalities and political beliefs.
But this is the big thing. You can make a poll for anything. There used to be an old quote: if you don't got a story, I'll make you a poll.
Statistics didn't prove anything with you.
I think it wasn't Vic Reeves who said 89.6% of statistics are made up on the spot.
I used that quote literally this afternoon on Ian.
Is that true? Is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like what was Margaret Thatcher's? The lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yeah,
was the other one.
absolutely right. Okay.
So it's all about your calls, isn't it, in the next hour, and more about
No, we'll do the paper review, won't we?
Well, of course.
No, unfortunately, I'm
What?
at 6 a.m.
You're going home, are
I'm
you?
going home.
By the way, I'm very sceptical about the paper review because, we always get given the Independent. It's not a paper. Like, they just make a fake front page.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not been a paper for a long time, has it really?
Curtis Hinton's coming in to talk to us.
I always used to say, thank God nobody reads the Independent.
I actually didn't use to. I thought it was quite good at one point.
There's the eye as well, so it's very confusing, isn't it?
the
We don't
all-seeing
know what
eye.
it is. So, and Starmer, I mean, he's on his 15th U-turn. Someone wrote that he's
Remember
like
that not U-turns, the watering down.
He's like the Black Knight in the Monty Python.
Yes.
Tis but a scratch as his arms and legs are cut off.
That man's not going anywhere because, you know what, everything should have taken him down by now, so
Yeah, that's
clearly
right.
this isn't going to.
He's just so bad that nobody cares anymore.
Anyway, give us your call, 03444 999 1000. It's the papers coming up after this. Stay with us on Talk. Back after the news.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the paper review with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Curtis Hinton. Curtis, have we got many front pages yet?
I've got 3 in front of me.
Well, just talk slowly. It looks like the good thing is about newspapers, there's different news stories on each one. What's the Independent?
Independent is focused on the scandal of 4-year delays for criminal cases to go to trial.
Really?
So there are some criminals who are facing 4 years to 2030, leaving the victims at least 4 years for their day in court.
Wow.
I even saw that Calamity Lammy's thinking about bringing AI in as judges. Imagine that Grok sending you down.
Well, he's getting rid of juries, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He is.
So bring in the robots.
I think what Keir Starmer's naive view of the world is that if you create lots of rules and just do everything in court, freedom, democracy, and decency will work. It's just a load of crap.
It's just law.
Yeah. And you know, it even says on here, it's like huge cases like rape. So
What,
people
will just be no jury?
Well,
I mean,
no, they're going to wait 4 years until they get any sort of sentence. If they're held, what does a rape case get these days?
Yeah, can you imagine you were remanded in custody and you're actually innocent? 4 years. Well, but you would be in the you would be.
Can you be remanded for 4 years?
I've got no idea, but a lot of people, the amount of time they've been on remand would exceed the actual punishment.
Yeah.
So they go to court, be found guilty, and be released same day.
200 suspects accused of rape won't face a judge or jury until 2028. That's the headline.
Wow, it's crazy. What is the problem? Is it just we didn't do anything during COVID?
It just says about it's a backlog. The backlog is just way too much for.
But they can rush it through when there's that thing in Southport, and they can always when they need to.
Lucy Connolly, look at how quick that all went through.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, the guy did the throat slitting gesture. That took ages, and then he was found not guilty. Of course.
It's I can't believe it's a sad reality of what the UK looks like right now. To be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of the barristers are saying they won't do it or refuse to do it if this goes ahead. They will go on strike because
jury.
Their belief in the law is such that they will refuse to take part in this.
We're innocent until proven guilty in front of a jury of our peers.
I will tell you. I'm not legally allowed to tell you what took place, but I was on a jury once where we let somebody off on moral justification. Somebody who was technically guilty of a crime, but we actually found her not guilty, and that's a really important part. It's a criminal offence for a barrister to stand up and say, even if my client's guilty, you can let them off. But you can. You're not allowed to tell the jury
can
that.
decide what they want.
What we said.
Even if they think it's guilty.
Because I won't mention which trial it was. Now I've been a jury on 5 trials, so you won't necessarily know. We all just we were in the jury room. We just went. I don't think she was even there.
You've been a juror on 5
trials, yeah.
I haven't been called out once.
No.
I think they've just got my name on the system.
Do you get
They're trying to capture you at some point.
Do you get nibbles and that? Do you get a hotel?
What happened with me? So I was at Warrington Crown Court and the Old Bailey, and obviously the Old Bailey was more impressive. But literally, like you don't really go to the court. It's quite bizarre. What happens is you go into a side entrance and you're literally locked away from the general public. You have your own dining room, your own tea and coffee and all that, but you don't. They say if you're going to leave the jury area, you have to just leave the building in order to not bump into.
What's in the dining room? What's the selections?
I can't really remember. It wasn't fantastic. I don't think.
You'd want to do. You're going to be there. I mean, some of them can last years.
Oh, I was person 40 for a 6-month terrorism trial. But what happened was they just lined up about 30 or 40 people because everybody was going to try and get out of it, and they just didn't accept it. The only way to get out of a trial, and I wouldn't strongly recommend you do this, the only way to get out is to say, I'm just such a massive racist, it would be prejudicial to justice to allow me to be on the trial. That will definitely get you thrown out. Yeah. But I don't think, I wouldn't strongly recommend you attempt
to be fair, you might be facing a trial if it.
Can you imagine? I'm just such a... Or say something like, I genuinely believe anyone accused of shoplifting is automatically guilty, therefore...
Yeah, that'll do it.
They'll just get rid of
What's your next story, Curtis? Your next story, please.
Well, it's Hillary Clinton. I saw just before you went to
Yes.
the break before. She has denied any wrongdoing, and she says she wishes
At the
it was
Epstein hearing.
yeah. I mean, there's been significant links, but I mean, there's always been questions between her and Bill. And
Bill, well, he was in that jacuzzi, wasn't he? Those pictures of him with the...
I mean, we're not seeing the same scrutiny with the US politicians as we've seen with Mandelson and Andrew
but well, you know my theory. My theory is that the reason that there's no scrutiny in America is because Clinton hung round with Epstein and Trump didn't. Because remember, in the book Nobody's Girl by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, she said that when Donald Trump discovered what Epstein was up to, he threw him out of Mar-a-Lago and banned him for life. I think the minute she said that, it was over. Nobody was interested in what Epstein had done because they were interested in Smith. I mean, if you watch Channel 4 News describe him as Trump friend Jeffrey Epstein, right? And you think, and there's that video of them together, and you think, this man is the only person who took any action against Epstein at all, and he's the only one that gets accused of being his mate.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about Andrew going over there to testify. What about them coming over here to testify? Because if there's going to be links, look at Mandelson. I mean, Lindsay Hoyle came out and said that he was the one who gave the evidence over, whilst he spent a lavish taxpayers' holiday in the British Virgin Islands. That's how he found the information. He was over there.
We pay for his massages.
Like, at what point are we going to bring them over here? At what point is Hillary Clinton going to be brought over here to show the evidence?
Well, I mean, Virginia Roberts Giuffre's brother keeps saying that, first of all, he said the king was the only person, significant political figure, who'd taken any action at all. And he said, I hope the Americans will follow what the British has done. Because it's noticeable, the only three people in trouble, Ghislaine Maxwell, Mandelson and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, are all British.
Yeah.
I think it's because, I guarantee you, I don't want to smear someone, I don't care. Clinton will have been a bloody dirty dog, won't he? Right? And they'll all be desperate to get him off the hook. Because what Clinton will have done, whether legal or illegal, will have been pervy as hell. Because it always is.
Look at Monica Lewinsky when he was in office. Like the whole situation. I
mean, we don't want to be rude, but I mean, he was. When they said he was on the phone to Nelson Mandela whilst an obscene act was being performed. Can you believe that?
Not on Zoom or anything like that.
Good job it was 90, so probably not.
If I could
What's that noise?
You sound very excited.
That's my saxophone.
You sound very excited.
The Sun, and this is I've done it, and this is about Ian Huntley. So a monster. Ian Huntley was yesterday bludgeoned with a spiked metal pole in jail with his attacker yelling, I've done it, I've killed him. Huntley, 52, is in hospital fighting for his life after an assault at HMP Franklin Durham. Triple killer Anthony Russell, 43, suspected of battering him in a workshop using the makeshift weapon. Huntley's serving a minimum 40 years for murdering Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, both 10 in 2002.
This is going to be a terrible thing. I genuinely don't care that he's been beat up.
Yeah,
I think most people.
I think it's taken quite a while for this to happen.
I think we have to be careful about encouraging people.
It shouldn't happen. I mean, but people aren't going to shed a tear.
It absolutely shouldn't happen. And I want to be absolutely clear to any prisoner who has the opportunity to beat Ian Huntley to death. Don't do it. Just say I watched Andre and he was definitely convinced that was. Mustn't do that. Mustn't take a hammer and bludgeon his head.
It's got to be all legal.
I'd be interested to know what this Sahim was in for initially. What was the sentence that he was having?
I think the guy who hit him on...
he's a murderer.
He is a murderer.
Yeah,
okay, so he's probably got at least life. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's a triple murderer. Triple killer Anthony Russell.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Well, it could have been manslaughter. It just says he's a killer, triple killer. And the Daily Mirror, Huntley fights for life. Sam Kelly and Huntley's fighting for life.
I think nurses and doctors should do their very best to help.
The Monster 52 murdered schoolgirl. Well, yeah, we know what happened. And the Jewel and the Crown. Katie is given a necklace. There, lovely.
She's been given a pearl necklace.
On the Ian Huntley story, do you think that the families of Jessica Chapman and Holly Wells would want to see this, or would they want to see him suffer in prison? If he dies now, people would argue the fact that he spent not enough time in prison. He hasn't suffered enough.
I think that the reality is the reason we don't allow the victims to pick the punishment is because they'd be unreasonable. But if I was the father of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, look, bluntly, I'd visit the guy who attacked Ian Huntley to sort of encourage, well, not encourage him, but to be nice to him.
Okay.
But you can't really buy him anything, can you? But I think, look, I'd certainly write to him, and I would quite openly say, I personally don't give a toss what you did was illegal, but that's why parents and victims don't decide the punishment. I think it's. I think that woman looks like James Whale's wife. Anyway, sorry, deeply unprofessional. Again, the problem is with this. The problem is with the attack of Ian Huntley. There's nothing we can say that would A, reflect our honest views, and B, be allowed on the channel.
Well, I think the general public has the same sort of view of this.
Yeah,
right?
I think
we all have a general consensus.
I think people sat at home listening and watching know what we think about this, don't they? And so what we'll do is, rather than upset the regulator, we'll just leave it there.
Met police to test face scanning in public. Yep, it hasn't even been discussed in Parliament. It's just being rolled out, and it's also been rolled out into supermarkets who are sharing it with the police.
Well, I was watching your talk with Dr. David Bull, and you mentioned about the scanning before. If we did go into another lockdown of some sort, would we literally just go to the shop?
We're entering the social credit system, aren't we, like China?
Yeah, it's very concerning.
It's
very concerning. It's the freedom's being taken away.
No discussion in Parliament.
I mean, I thought it was remarkable the way that that our freedoms and liberties just evaporated overnight. And the other thing that I keep complaining about is when people go, you have to give human rights to murderers and whatever because that protects your human rights. Well, where was my right to family life? Where was my right to not be placed under house arrest?
Yeah.
Where was my right to not have a mandatory medical treatment? All of these rights, which apparently are so enshrined by the European Convention, they're all just blown apart in about 2 minutes.
Do you think it was one of those scenarios of where we've never experienced anything like this before? When it came to COVID-19, we never experienced anything like this.
Not since 1918.
This is it. So no one who was alive, I don't know, I can't say for certain, but no one who was alive during 1918 would know what to do in 2021 or 2020 when it happened. So I give Boris the benefit of the doubt for what happened, to be honest, and even with the vaccines.
Well, he originally wanted to do just let it all carry on, and that's what would have been the best thing, and he was sort of bullied by that imperial Professor Lockdown, Pants Down, Professor Pants Down, that was who
the problem is with it, we are now in what David Starkey talks government of extremists.
Yes.
Right, so if you get... so as an example, if you have a climate change committee, it's not going to be staffed by people who are moderates on climate change, right? That SAGE or whatever it was, it's not going to be. There's not going to be people on it that go, look, I get that locking everybody up will stop the virus, but it's also going to destroy the economy, so let's not do it. I mean,
destroy lives.
Oh, yeah.
They should have had all bases covered, economists, they should have, but all they did was concentrate on the medical.
But is this the benefit of hindsight now? Is that
Well, no, people were saying that at the time. They should have a whole pool of experts.
Well, hang on a second. You're a dad. How bad has it been for your kids?
My kids were born after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of them was conceived during lockdown, so...
Exactly.
Maybe it was good for the kids.
Let's keep it tasteful. You won't get an award for filth.
Right, we'll take a little breaky. Curtis Hinton's here, 03444 99 1000. You want to give us a ring? We're going through the papers, or you can leave us a little voice note. What's this? It is correct that it is only 13 miles from the Hyatt Hotel in Tortilla to Little St James's Island. Where did Olive Oil stay? Ooh, mysterious. 03444.
Do you know what his nickname is? Linseed Oil.
Back after this.
No, I'll tell you what. The best nickname ever in the House of Commons was Simon Burns, who always used to go on about the fact that he went to Oxford, but he got a very crap degree, so he used to call him Third Degree Burns.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the pay-per review with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Curtis Hinton. Assisted dying bill.
Lords are throwing it out, aren't they? So what? I think they're right to. Well, they're going to try and sort it through, aren't they?
First of all, they said the Commons version is terrible.
Yeah.
But the Lords will fix it. Now they're saying we just want to ram it through the Lords without making any changes. So basically, it's just bad.
They're not giving it any more time, are they? That's essentially what they're doing. They're saying, you've got the time, that's it. What you've got is all you're having, and that's it, it's done.
Yeah.
Says to me, they don't want it to go through.
Yeah, well, the only person in favour of it is Starmer. Because the rest of the Labour front bench, all the big players are not in favour of it. Wes Streeting's vehemently against it.
Yeah.
Mind you, I've got to be honest with you. You know, if you're the health secretary, being in favour of offing with the elderly is probably... It's not great, is it?
It's not the greatest.
It's not great. It's not great. I think the results of the assisted dying bill very simply will be this. They'll say to people, "Oh, look, if you're the sort of person who's going to be, so little of a team player that you won't commit suicide, we're going to give you really shit elderly care." That's what I think they're going to say.
And I mean, it's just going to have so many flaws and so many. It just opens up.
And it's going to open the door, and other people will be bumped off.
Yeah.
But I don't understand it. So I've always said this about the latter stages of my mother's life. What they do is, obviously, if you have terminal cancer, it's a painful experience. But they just use incredibly strong painkillers, which would shorten your life if you didn't have 48 hours to live anyway.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So you don't have to just kill someone. You can comatose. And remember, the benefit of somebody basically being asleep for the final 48 hours of their life is that you don't have euthanasia, right? And there will be no risk.
There'll be no need for it.
There'll be no risk. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so okay, that last 48 hours of their life, they don't do anything. But the benefit of doing it is you protect the whole of society from euthanasia that run rampant. And I'll tell you, in terms of protections, look, in this country, we do not have abortion on demand if you read the law. We do. Anyone who wants abortion under 24 weeks will get it.
Yeah. At home now as well.
They want it up to 9 months.
At home, yeah. It's going through. That's another thing that's going through. Yeah, it's such a tough one.
The government of death.
It's such a tough one because we could, again, you mentioned about your mum, but we could be sitting here and someone could be in that position at home watching a loved one in so much pain, and they're for it for that reason. There's no coming back.
Yeah, but then their loved one could actually find a cure or something.
Again, that's the argument. That's exactly the argument.
Lest we forget that James Whale, who was firmly in favour of assisted dying, was given 3 months and 6 months to live on multiple occasions, and then medical advancements gave him... He wanted to see his grandson pass out in the military, and obviously wanted to live long enough to get the MBE, because obviously he was awarded it, but there was a certain lead time from going to Windsor Castle. Those achievements in his life would not have happened, and the reality is, and I'm proud of this because I nominated him, getting the MBE, he said, was the proudest moment of his life, and it wouldn't have happened had assisted dying been in place.
Yeah. And again, like, if they're saying that people with 3 months or 6 months to live, this thing has to go through 2 GPs, through court. Realistically, it's probably courts are facing 4 years of back.
They were wrong anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, by the end.
There's a 4-year delay. There's a 4-year delay. Granny's absolutely knackered. But,
now, you also used to be a chef, didn't you?
Yes.
Now, Waitrose are saying stock up now as it's going to stop selling mackerel. What are your views on that, and what's your favourite mackerel dish?
I'm not a mackerel fan.
Good. All right, so you're happy about it?
I'm just not. I'm not a real kind of. If it's really fishy, I'm not a real fishy fan.
Good. Yes.
You'll get no prizes for Phil. No prizes for Phil, as I said to you before. No, the problem is smoked mackerel. Right.
You shouldn't smoke it. What's it?
Smoked mackerel. Smoked mackerel is terrible from some shops because they just put that spray on it, don't they? Waitrose actually smokes it.
Do they? Not anymore, though.
Not anymore.
Stock up.
Have it.
Stock up. They're going to do. They're going to have more herring. That's even worse.
Roll mop herring. God, I can't work out whether roll mop herring is the worst thing ever or an act of genius. It's filth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, Phil.
It is, Phil.
I'll tell you what my favourite food is. I'm sorry to say this because it sounds elitist, but I like
Foie gras and caviar.
I like oysters with caviar.
But you know, oysters used to be a pauper's dish.
You can get them for £1 in some places.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to all the pits and slaves, you'd know this.
Maybe not the caviar.
The slaves would eat oysters.
Well, no, so
now it's a gourmet dish.
So I used to treat myself, and what you could get is, I think you could get something like 6 rock oysters from down there at Borough Market and put caviar on top, and the total price was 30 quid, which is not. It's quite expensive, but it's not so outrageous that you couldn't, you know.
Yeah. You could treat yourself once a month.
Yeah, although
maybe not nowadays.
It is slightly odd walking the streets with a takeaway.
In a market with
takeaway
oysters.
Don't you just slide it down your throat, oysters?
I give them a bit of a chew.
Straight through and just...
What's the point?
They give it a bit of a chew.
I think they always taste, so they always make you feel really good, don't they, because they're so good for you.
It's the lemon. I think it's the lemon that makes... Do you know, like toothpaste, they added the mint to make people think that it was cleaning your teeth because people didn't like the flavour. It's the lemon that people put in oysters. I think that's what gives people the good flavour.
I give the oyster a chew.
Do you?
Do you remember my favourite...
Do you go for the pop?
My favourite was when we did that was the woke that was, and we used to make up like lefty stuff that wasn't real, but about 80% of the things that were false actually later became true. One of them was Peter have launched a campaign against oyster consumption on the grounds it's cruel. Right, oysters have no brain or nervous system.
Well, that's cruel in itself.
It's not possible.
Poor oysters.
When you said Peter, I thought it was Peter Barnes initially, because I know he was on there.
So oysters are thick, basically. So.
No, they're incapable. They don't know they're alive.
Very low IQ. Another food story. Meat-free festival faces backlash over plans to serve venison. A meat-free music festival has come under fire for suggesting it should allow venison to be served. Shambhala Festival in Northamptonshire has only permitted vegetarian vegan food for more than 10 years, but has launched a public vote on whether this should include venison, because basically there's too many deers and they're damaging the ecosystem, so the vegans want to kill them. Do you like venison?
I do like venison.
How would you cook your venison? Roast it?
Well, no, I'd prefer it like cured, just to have it after not hot.
Like
a jerky?
Yeah.
A deer jerky.
My uncle lives in Aviemore, and he literally brought home some roadkill. Right.
We had a guy in Mr. Roadkill, and if it was fresh, he'd put it in his freezer and just have it, a bit of otter or whatever. Roast otter.
So apparently, my uncle maintains this. This is the law in Scotland. If you run over a deer, right, you're not allowed to keep it, but just to stop people doing it deliberately.
Okay.
But if you see it getting run over, you can have it. So what he did was he disemboweled it and literally put it in his boot, and then he ate it. It's like he came down to England and he said, look, and do you want some of my roadkill venison? No, of course it's very tough.
I mean, he ran it over or something?
No, somebody else ran it over. He saw it getting over.
Well,
no, because he said.
His mate ran it over, so we could pick it up.
Obviously, if you don't see it killed, it could have been there for some time.
Yeah.
So roadkill venison. It wasn't. I wasn't very keen on that.
Did you taste a bit?
Yeah, I don't think I'd eat roadkill.
It was.
A lot of them have the lead shot in as well. If it's game, and that can poison us, obviously.
Yeah,
and gets
I had a friend
stuck in your teeth. And
I had a friend of mine who was making big dinner for his mate's wedding, right? And he ordered 50 chickens. And the farm brought them alive.
Oh no, that was going to be my next question. Please tell me they weren't alive.
They were alive, right? I don't know if you know. Do you know on Charing Cross Road, there's that Vale Royal House where you can go upstairs and there's like streets above all the shops. Anyway, most people will know that. No. That's where he lives, right? And he had to
in the streets. Oh, I know.
He had to slaughter 50 chickens, and he said there was blood.
You have to pluck them all as well.
But he said they'd been delivered on something like Saturday night, and the wedding was on Sunday. So he said I just had to get on with it.
So someone's walked 50, well, not necessarily walked, but someone's brought 50 chickens, live chickens through Charing Cross.
They'll be fresh though.
They would be fresh.
Yeah, make sure they're fresh. They're still alive. That is absolutely heinous, isn't it? 50 chickens, you have to hang them overnight and all this sort of stuff. Unbelievable.
Trump tariffs push British firms to to China in the Telegraph, but Donald Trump's tariffs are pushing British businesses closer to China and a blow at the president's ambitions to isolate Beijing. UK companies have loosened ties with the US while targeting new territories, including China and Japan. So basically, it's 15% tariff,
But, I mean, that's not the biggest story, I don't think, with the tariffs. The biggest story is, at the moment, on the Financial Times, and that is, if I can find it again, the US is being sued by 900 of its own businesses for $160 billion because the tariffs have now been ruled illegal by the Supreme Court.
The original ones?
The original ones.
So, yeah, well, that's probably just paying back what they...
Yeah, they're in refunds.
But he's brought in ones, he can do up to 15% on his own executive order, which is what he's done in retaliation to this ruling.
I think the UK alignment with the China, I think that's from Stammer, isn't it? Let's face it, he's over there making friends.
He does anything they want, you know. You want the super embassy, you know, with your dungeons, you can have them, you know, whatever you want, it's yours. He loves their authoritarian ways.
I mean, actually, I'm surprised we've not been sued by now for our comments on Jonathan Powell and Lord Harmer, because basically the number of times we've made jokes about them being Chinese spies. Because, look, and it is a joke, but... every time China wants anything, the name Jonathan Powell or Richard Hermer comes up, right? And you go, literally, you know, MI6 says, do not let them have a spy factory there. Lord Hermer's going, I think it's a good idea. Oh, where are we going to build it? Wapping telephone exchange. Well, that's a sparkling idea, isn't it? And then, literally, the embassy is going to surround Wapping telephone exchange. It's going to be basically inside it.
They've had the building for quite a while as well. Well, they've had the premises for quite a while. There's nothing's been done there.
No.
So they got that under Conservative.
They need a bigger place because they need 200 extra people to live in there full time and never leave.
And they want to keep the 7 other buildings like their old embassy. They want to keep that as well.
It could be worse. They could be sailing them across on boats and they could be going in hotels.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Although, if you live in one of the properties that is now going to be turned over to a Chinese person...
Yeah, you'd be a bit annoyed.
And I have to say, look, I don't know what everybody does in the Chancellery, but the fact that you need an extra 200 people who will fly from Beijing, go inside the building and never leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does happen.
Doesn't
they
sound
grabbed
great.
people in Manchester and took them into the embassy there, or wherever it's not an embassy, it's a consulate. 0344 499 1000. It's Talk with Andre and Ash and Curtis Hinton. Give us a call. We're going through the papers and we'll be back after this.
Oh, all right.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the pay-per-view with Andre Walker, Curtis Hinton and Asher Gould. Curtis, are we bothered about Jeremy Corbyn's leadership of your party?
No, he's not going to be... It's not going to be a reform for the left, is it? It's not going to be a...
It's been a shambles so far.
Yeah, it has. I mean, they came together, they split up, and it's like Restore Britain. Ben Habib wasn't one of them going to Advance UK, and then they split, and then...
Do you know what this is like? it's like the East Coast West Coast rap dispute
Very
of
similar,
the 90s, where nobody fully understands what's going on.
People did the signs, but didn't know what was happening.
So we were aware that people were having an argument of some description, but we didn't quite work out who was who and why Biggie got shot or whatever. Right?
Do you know what? I think Corbyn really missed the trick here, because he had a million more votes than Starmer in 2019, and it was deemed one of Labour's worst ever elections. Obviously, that's because of the Boris landslide. But he had a real opportunity to do something big here. He had a huge following, a huge cult following, if you like. And yeah, he just really.
It's one of those strange things, isn't it? Zach Polanski's just come in and eaten his lunch.
Yeah, I don't know how that person is even liked. No disrespect, I'm sure he's a great guy. But when it comes to politics, right, this man, you're looking at someone's history. He used to get women to pay him to hypnotise him to get bigger boobs.
It was called Hypnotits.
Is that what it was called?
The business, yeah.
And if you're having something like that, it's just not.
But also, he's like the ultimate Uncle Tom, isn't he? Right? Because it's kind of the anti-Zionist Jewish guy, in a position of leadership amongst the Islamists. Yeah. I mean, that's just. I mean, as somebody said, as Pete Barnes said earlier, members of the Green Party reported themselves to the counter-terrorism police because they were concerned what was being discussed related to Gaza was simply terrorism.
When did the Green Party stop coming about the environment?
Yeah,
they used to be. It was all about Greenpeace and all. Yeah,
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Now
it's just gone crazy.
I mean,
and the video that she did,
the dancing on the street,
dancing and the Urdu advert. And
I can't just blame them for it. I think the whole of British politics, and I mean, I'll probably get stuffed by the right. I'm centre right myself, but even Reform, Conservatives, everyone is just so pathetic. I think at the moment it really is. There's no one there who's actually. There's no Winston Churchill, there's no Margaret Thatcher, there's no one up there with any authority, because they've done something in the past, they're having an argument, a stupid argument, a little spat, and it's just, I mean, you don't get helped by the likes of the Tommy Robinson lot and all. It's such a mess. The UK is such a mess.
Let me just read this out. It's kind of breaking news. It's from the Independent. Leading pollster Rob Hayward. Lord Hayward was, by the way, John Major's pollster, just so everyone knows. Leading pollster Lord Hayward has told the Independent he intends to raise serious concerns about voting in the crucial Gaunton and Denton by-election after a group of election observers issued a critical report. Democracy volunteers who monitor elections across Europe claimed that they saw illegal practice of family voting in 68% of the 22 polling stations observed in a report published on the polling stations as the polls closed at 10 p.m. The practice were two voters either confer, collude or direct each other on voting was made illegal by the Elections Bill in 2023, which Lord Hayward actually put through. In a statement, the organisation said, "Today we have seen concerningly high levels of family voting in Gorton and Denton. Based on our assessment of today's observations, we have seen the highest levels of family voting in any election in the last 10 years. Lord Hayward, blah-de-blah-de-blah. He wants a ballot secrecy act." Right.
This is what we talked about with Dr. Dave Bull earlier, the sectarian vote.
The reality is, when I was in Tooting, I used to knock on doors and people would say, and I'd go, "Which way are you voting?" And people would say, "I don't know, my dad does it for all of us." And that's what happens. Well, it's particularly...
So is that now illegal? I didn't know they'd brought in... There's a law that's...
So what's protocol now? I mean, that's an official document they put forward.
How do you work it out?
Well, do you know if you walk into a polling station and go, "Which one's the Labour candidate?" They go, "I'm sorry, I can't tell you anything about the candidates. There's the list."
How can you work out if it's been a family voting? What's the system?
Well, they're saying they've observed it, because what they haven't observed is when they've seen when it's been postal voting.
Well, exactly.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, this is a big concern. A WhatsApp message has flooded in from Simon Wilkinson. The assisted dying bill, voting at 16, the abolition of jury trials and the selling off of the Chagos Islands. Am I the only person who feels politically impotent at the moment that things are being done that will affect me and the country, but nobody voted for it and we cannot do anything about it? Simon in Bray. I think that's an accurate synopsis.
Yeah.
And a voice note's flooded in. Let's listen to that and then we'll answer all of these questions.
No, we'll go to a break.
All right, yeah. You know, are we going to go over? Yes, go for the break, and then we'll press play on the Panasonic. Back after this, good idea.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Sorry, we're just laughing during the break at the lawyers talking to Rod Hall when they said, look, Rod, what you have to understand is, in legal terms, that is your hand, not an emu. And he's going, it's an emu. Look, if you grab somebody's genitals, legally, it's just your hand.
Well, that's the legal question.
He's going,
Was it emu?
He's going, no, it's the emu, it's out of control. He's going, no court will accept that. Rod, you can't. Literally, he's going for women's breasts and all that.
With all the court cases in recent years, it's amazing how it's not popped up.
Well, that's how he got away with it. It was the emu that done it.
I thought the amazing thing was what the Sun said when they said, amazingly, if you look at the Crankies, the only one from the 70s and 80s who wasn't a weirdo was the one that got his wife to dress up as a little boy. There were never any allegations of wrongdoing. And when he said, how did we discover this act? Oh, it was a fancy dress party. Oh, a likely tale. A likely tale. But the Crankies were quite sound in the end, weren't they? They were right wingers. They used to go to the.
Oh, were they? I remember when Jimmy Cranky was doing pantomime, fell out the beanstalk, and was quite severely injured.
I'll tell you what I saw. I saw the Bobby Davro face plant.
I've seen it on the stocks with Checkers.
Oh, it's so bad.
They killed him.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
they did almost kill him.
Wow.
But they got these stocks.
Imagine the world would have been so different, wouldn't it?
Well, the problem is, right, who are they? Les Dennis and Bobby Davro, right? It's always quite hard to know. Who's the other one? There's three of them, isn't there?
No, is there another one?
They all look essentially the same.
Oh, well, yeah, very easy to mix up.
Les Dennis and
Anyway, look, we got the answer machine. We teased them all.
Yes.
It's Ray, isn't it? Is this Ray, is it? Right, let's see. Dave. Let's see what Dave's got to say. Go on, Dave.
Good evening, guys. Dave here. The Gorton and Denton by-election may be rerun, but apparently there's 66% of electoral fraud by family voting. Person goes into the box to tick their little box. A family member goes in with them to instruct them what to do. Looks like it's going to be a rerun. Good show.
Interesting. So, are you allowed to go in with someone?
That was my thoughts.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, why are they letting them in? Is there not a questioning why these areas letting them in?
Maybe they just go in and no one says anything, because they're just, scared or just do what they're told.
I think, I mean, look, here is the thing that was disgraceful. The Labour Party brought in postal voting on demand. Right, so if you think about it, what is the thing that keeps the system safe? The fact you have to vote in person. So you used to be able to register anyone to vote. You could just make up any names you wanted, but you'd have to actually go to the polling station. Now, it's quite hard. If you're going to try and vote 6 times in the same polling station, it's going to become quite hard to do it. So it never had a significant problem. But then they had register as many as you want and postal votes on demand. There was 2 up, 2 down in Pendle that had 73 people officially living there, right, and all on a postal vote. Yeah. But the problem is, so Labour did not commit electoral fraud. What they did was they knew that their people would do it for them. Yeah. So just what the Conservatives then did was they didn't get rid of postal voting on demand simply because they knew there were more little old ladies than electoral fraudsters, so it was good news for them. I think the whole thing stinks.
Yeah.
What's the answer? How do you
ban it?
Ban postal voting.
Yeah.
No, you could always do it if there was a medical emergency.
Yeah, for medical emergencies where but why should you have to not go there to the polling station?
I think people should have to take a test to get the quality, the right to vote. I think you've got to be some sort of level of, you've got to understand what the parties are putting forward.
Certainly shouldn't be under it shouldn't be 16-year-olds. It should actually be raised to 24, I think.
I don't believe it. I think that we, working in this space, you see a lot of young people, and it's great that they want to be involved in the future of the country. It really is great.
It's none of their business. Just go outside and play.
It's great, but at some point they do need a childhood, and you're at 16. It's still a childhood. You're still making mistakes. You're still learning.
I think one of the most disgraceful situations that we've got to do something about is in cities like Oxford, Cambridge, and Canterbury to an extent, university towns. So what happens is students who are exempt from paying council tax vote for the most horrendous high tax communists, right? And then move out. Yeah. Right. So it's basically you end up.
You're not even there for an election cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly end up in a situation, I think, in Cambridge where they've got like I think actually it might be Oxford. They've got all these mad Green Party people doing all sorts of things, and the end result is the people really suffer.
Like Brighton, that happened in Brighton, didn't it? I know. You know, do you remember they wanted to give it to prisoners because of the European Court of Human Rights, and it was denied. You know, they'd all vote for the Greens because they want to release all the prisoners, don't they?
I've got to say to you, if and on that voice message, if there were to be a majority of say 5. Somebody may sue to have the election rerun. Yeah. I mean, how the election is rerun, you know, it's for the court to decide whether the election was fair or not. But if, say, as an example, the majority was less than 100, then this report that Lord Hayward's talking about would potentially be grounds to rerun the election.
Well, you said 66 or 68%. It doesn't matter, to be fair. The fact is it's over half of the stations were seen with this family voting.
We know what's going
on. We always said that 2/3 was Gorton and 1/3 was Denton. So presumably in Gorton, basically, and we know that electoral fraud principally happens not in not just Asians, not just Pakistanis. It tends to be closed ethnic communities. So actually, Orthodox Jews in Hackney got arrested, whatever. So it doesn't necessarily matter what religion, what ethnic group you are. It's more to do with you being pretty insular.
Well, like you said, when you were campaigning in Tooting, you knocked on the door. Our dad votes for us.
Oh, yeah.
That probably happens so many times.
Oh, without doubt.
Matt Goodwin has claimed, as a Reform UK candidate for Gorton and Denton, he's claimed that he was deeply concerned by the report of high levels of an illegal voting practice in the Gorton and Denton contest. He said, given the reports we are reading in the media about family voting and sectarianism, I'm deeply concerned about the extent to which the Gorton and Denton parliamentary by-election is a free, fair and democratic election. And Paul says, now our voting is as corrupt as the third world we have imported. Very worrying for our political future in the UK. So this seems to be becoming the main story of the night, and maybe we'll have to have a rerun.
Although, of course, we have got a slight problem now, haven't we? Because this is the pay-per-view that goes out Thursday night and Friday morning. So it may well have all...
We're not going out. I think it's a special, because of the by-election, Julia's doing a special show.
Oh, I see.
So we can say what we want.
I see. In that case, we can say that we don't know what the result is in Gorton and Denton, but it is very, very clear. The closed ethnic community in Gorton and Denton is Pakistani. It is widely believed, though we don't have any real evidence to prove it, widely believed that it's going to vote for the Green Party. Certainly we know the poster sites were Pakistani houses, so it may well be if the Greens win by a small amount. But, of course, the other slight confusion here is this. Because it is a secret ballot, the fact that there has been family voting, if that is proved to have been the case, whoever wins might be in trouble. So you're not going to be able to. So if Matt Goodwin wins, he can't go, but we know they weren't voting for me. The court's not going to wash that.
With that statement, he's got to back up. If he does win, he's got to say, well, look, we still need to make sure this is a fair
But I think he thinks he's not going to win with that statement.
Yeah.
And so he's already
I don't think...
Farage said it raises serious questions about the integrity of the democratic process in predominantly Muslim areas.
Do we know the stats from the 2024 election, if that happened, and what percentage was reported at?
I mean, let's just be very clear that you know, the case of electoral fraud have rocketed in this country. Yeah. Absolutely rocketed. And I mean, I saw in Tooting, you know, these women would turn up, you know, they'd go in a hijab in the morning and a burqa in the afternoon with different names and whatever. And the problem is, you are importing people from countries that have a very, very shady electoral system, right? And they're not told not to do it. Yeah. I mean, people don't know. I mean, remember, family voting is a criminal offence. You knock on the door, oh, my dad votes for me. If that person realised it was a criminal offence, they wouldn't. I mean,
look at the corruption. I mean, we saw with Imran Khan what's happened to him. He's in prison. I remember when they sold Yes Minister or Yes Prime Minister to India, and they looked at the script and they went, no, it's just not corrupt enough. We need to change it. You know what I mean? It's a whole different system out there.
It's a completely different world, and like you say, we are importing that over here.
Somebody knocked. One of my mates knocked on.
Well, there was violence, wasn't there, a few years ago at the general election?
One of my mates knocked on the door. Someone's door in, I think, Southampton, and the guy went, and he goes, hello, I'm Bob Jones, not real name. I'm your local Conservative candidate for council. The bloke went, is it true that councillors are exempt from council tax? And he went, absolutely not. We pay council tax like everyone else. He went, right, I'm not voting for you. And the bloke went, and my mate went, why? And he goes, well, if you've not tucked yourself up, you're not going to do anything for me, are you? If you've not even sorted yourself out, what chance have I got? I thought, that's a reasonable point, actually, isn't it?
Let's have a look at the Daily Mail. Let's see what's the Daily Mail there.
It's true. It's true.
Does how often you make love predict your chance of divorce?
Yes, if you've never had sex with your partner, they're probably going to leave you.
And then another story about the Soham killer, close to death after being battered with a metal pole in Huntley. They're cleaning.
Oh, here we go. Mandelson's emails have disappeared. Here we go.
Oh, look, they're printed on both sides. That's very good. For
But not properly.
convenience. But not properly. But nearly.
It raises questions when stuff like this happens. It's like Hillary Clinton when she deleted her dodgy emails back in with the election 2016 and the presidential election. Yeah.
Also, vegetarians are less likely to get cancer, apparently. Do you know what I love? I love Lent, where Catholics are required to suffer the punishment of being vegans for a whole 40
Do you do Lent?
No.
Well, isn't it? Is it Lent at the moment?
It is Lent at the moment.
Are you doing Lent?
I'm not. I considered giving up something.
I gave up.
I've given up hope for the future.
I gave up 1 year, and it was quite good fun. I gave up being right wing for Lent, right? And I went to like meetings about Gaza solidarity and all this, and just for a whole month was an absolute dreadful communist.
Well, it sounds like Gould and Denton have given up the electoral. What's it?
Well, it's really worrying.
Electoral laws.
And of course, they are letting it happen. They're very happy about these electoral fraud. And the reality is, if you are importing people from the third world where these sorts of practices are common, it will happen.
Does this prove the point of that people aren't integrating, they are colonising?
Yes, it does.
Is this all part of that point? And
well, they openly say it will use your system against you. They say.
People, when Sir Jim Ratcliffe said about the colonisation of this country, I don't think he meant that in a bad way. I think he meant it in a way of that.
Well, he thought it was marvellous.
Well, it is a bad thing, though. You know, people have come here and usurped our culture and taken over areas.
So when we go to Spain and that sort of stuff, we always throw in the hola or si senor or whatever it might be, and it's a bit of a joke, but we know that. But we don't actually learn their language when we go over there. So have we got the argument of that?
Yeah, because I would say that, you know, if Spain want to kick out the British, they have the right to do it. It's up to them. And I think we would have to leave.
I think
and they're net contributors as well.
I think
they've got a few quid.
I think it's important to understand that the Costa del Sol was effectively built to be a town for British people to go on holiday on. Right, so...
But if they want British people to leave, I think that's fair enough.
The point I was going to make was have we done enough to help them integrate? That's my question.
Well, no, we've told them they mustn't integrate and just do what their culture says is superior to our own British one. That's what these...
We're allowing them to. That's the...
I mean, but there's loads of examples like that. After Famagusta was invaded by Turkey, Ayia Napa was purpose-built for British tourists.
Ravers.
People don't live. Normal people don't live in Ayia Napa, or not many of them do. They live down the road in Greece.
Was it dubsteps or grime? What was it in Ayia? It's more your generation. What did they do in Ayia Napa?
I'll tell you what, Ayia Napa used to be lovely. And then they went, we need to compete with Ibiza.
As I say, is it not like an Ibiza?
It is now.
Okay.
I mean, I was watching a thing about Vegas now. A lot of these places now are aiming for the... It's better to get 100 super rich people in than 10,000 average people. And now it's pricing out, and this is happening all over. We're seeing the elite now, the super rich now. You can't really go out and have a good night out now in London. It might cost 200-300 quid, and so it's sort of real layers of society.
Oh, I've said one night after work, we should go to the box. And I went, right, can I get on the guest list? He went, you can only get on the guest list if you get a table, it's £5,000. Oh, thank you. Put the phone down.
Went to Borough Market for oysters and caviar.
That's the end of that. You can stuff it. £5,000. Oh, don't worry, it's £5,000 in drinks. Oh, is it? That's it.
What's that, a bottle?
Get out of it. I'll tell you what I am thinking of doing, though. I've been offered a box for the Royal Variety, which is £8,000 and seats 10 people.
Is that Prince Andrew's box?
Yeah, that's right. They've got rid of it. We're not having him again.
I won't affiliate you with Prince Andrew.
No. As long as you clean the place.
This Mandelson story is interesting. A lobbying company founded by Mandelson discovered during an internal investigation a significant tranche of business records is missing. Surprise, surprise. In fact, recently the guy... the woman who was appointed to replace the person that Starmer sacked, head of the civil service, there was a bullying report, and suddenly the safe got broken into and it disappeared. And it was nothing to do with that. They were cleaning things out and they just accidentally, had to break into
I had a friend of mine who was in Special Branch, and he told me this story. I'll anonymise it slightly. He phoned up a major political party going, we think you've done something dodgy. In 4 weeks, we're going to produce a warrant to search your computers. Do not delete all your records in that time.
Oh, I wonder what accident happened between those 4 weeks. Yeah.
He said, when we got the computer, it had been scrubbed. That was it.
These messages apparently have been between David Lammy, Morgan McSweeney, and obviously Sir Keir Starmer's then Chief of Staff. The overall cachet of emails dates back to nearly a decade, including 1.4 million messages.
Oh, Antonia Romeo, that's the woman that we were talking about. Sorry. I was just getting that in my
Antonia Romeo. Okay.
1 million,
Alfa Romeo.
1 million kids are set to be without work. Well,
there's 9 million on the dole, according to Sir Jim Rat, which is unbelievable. I mean, we can't go on like this.
No, look at your phone.
Is this where we need to go back to apprenticeships? Are we going to look at apprenticeships, or is that not enough now?
They're trying to do
They want to do universal basic income, don't they?
They do. And that's where AI
They've sort of got that in a way, haven't they?
Hang on a second. I think we've missed a break, haven't we?
Have we missed a break?
No, we haven't.
No, we're all right, yeah.
No, do you?
But yeah, universal income. It's a thing that's been discussed even on...
But how does it work? You can't just pay everyone. I mean, when this AI comes in...
You can.
But who's going to pay it?
The big problem...
The corporations will pay it because they've got...
But how are they going to make money?
The big problem that the Soviet Union discovered is that when everybody gets the same pay... nobody goes to work unless you threaten them at gunpoint.
But universal income is about you not having to go to work.
What's going to happen is that if AI does take over the world, as people are predicting, Alex Armstrong I'm not going to name the other channel, but he's very, on social media, he's very kind of attacking this, saying people aren't aware of what's going to happen in the next 5 years with AI.
But if there's no one to earn money to buy stuff that these AI companies are going to have, how are they going to make money? Because they don't want to have any money.
Well, they'll get universal income. They'll get $2,000 a month from the government,
and then they'll just give it to the company. It doesn't seem to work out.
But there is a fundamental problem with AI, right? Which we were watching about earlier. So, right, imagine I invest in something. All right, a chef. Say I buy a restaurant, and you and I operate it together. You've invested $100,000 to buy the lease or whatever, and you've got your restaurant. Right. If I spend £100 million on Nvidia chips, in 3 years' time, they're obsolete. So when you've got something like OpenAI investing $14 billion a year in technology, it's not really an investment, it's just spending.
Yeah.
Because then what happens is they go, oh, OK, well, not even 3 years, 18 months' time, the whole data centre has to be thrown in the bin.
Yeah. What we have today in a year's time is not going to be here, because it's going to be so further advanced.
So I cannot see how Sam Altman can possibly win.
Well, he doesn't. Apparently, he doesn't own a penny for it. Does he? He doesn't own any financial income from this. It's when he was deposed by the US government, when they were asking all those ridiculous questions.
He has a very lavish lifestyle, though.
He does, amazingly, doesn't he?
He's got a car worth about £2 million.
The other thing is, there is an absolute scam at the heart of the funding of OpenAI. Their biggest investor is Microsoft, but Microsoft doesn't give them cash. Microsoft gives them vouchers to use in their cloud computing system. So what happens is they give them the vouchers, which are then returned to Microsoft. So Microsoft has quadrupled its income from its cloud services, right, by doing nothing at all other than giving it away. And
they're building that OpenAI at the same time.
And OpenAI can say that they've got all this money being invested in them. It's nonsense.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then stocks will go up.
Absolutely.
That's what
Well,
happens.
it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, already I saw a graphic designer saying she's losing her 65 grand a year job because now AI can do it all,
Yeah.
you know, voiceovers. It is actually, people are losing their jobs already, and lawyers and accountants.
So there's a
White-collar job.
I had the opportunity last year to speak to a photographer. He did the Pirelli calendar for this year. I asked him that question, AI, are you worried about AI replacing you? And he said, luxury brands will never use AI to produce their high quality adverts because the viewer can now tell. Like even the best
Yeah, but they won't be able to tell
you
them.
can tell.
Well, yeah, but it's going to get better and better, isn't it?
That's the worry, right?
Any
they'll spend
final
the money.
thoughts, Curtis? Curtis's final thoughts.
We
Just keep hope.
We need you back on the TV. I liked your little show that you did.
It was good. I enjoyed
man.
it. It was it's fun. But I'm actually trying to work on something at the moment. We're trying to put together the biggest talk show in the world. That's what I want to do.
That's interesting.
People aren't talking. People are arguing across the political spectrum in celebrity.
Oh
everything.
no! Don't make it
We want-
worthy.
we
like
want-
you.
No.
No, we
Anyway,
like
talking.
we're out of time. 03444991000. Thanks, Curtis. It's Andre and Ash. Give us a ring. It's all about your calls now. Back after the news.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and obviously the biggest story of the day is the Gorton and Denton by-election. But I'm looking at the count. I think they've
There's no need to be rude.
they've not even started the proper. Do you know the story about that? You know the story about that?
Probably shouldn't
right.
talk about it.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this.
Oh, no, what have I done?
We're expecting the results about 3 a.m. So we will. I'm going on to
We'll
talk.
be long gone.
No, we're going on to Talk Sports to talk about it later. Anyway, have you noticed that every single seat in the House of Lords is a French title? It's Marquess, Duke,
right, yeah,
well,
yeah.
except for Earl, which is Saxon. Everywhere else in the world, an Earl is called a Count. The reason why that does not exist in Britain is because the word "see you next Tuesday" is a very old English word, and the French pronounced count in the same way as the English pronounced "See you next Tuesday." And of course, so when William the Conqueror came in, they went, "This is the new Count of Lancaster," and they go, "Oh, we'll call him that."
Do you know that word actually? Its original meaning is Latin, and it's a sword sheath.
Really?
Yeah. Carol in Manchester.
And Carol's from Denton, so we're very interested, Carol.
Hi. I'm absolutely shattered by it.
So you've had 37 leaflets through your door and you're exhausted on all the knockings in your door.
Leaflets through my door. And one of them, right, is the size of 42 centimetres. I measured it personally for yourselves. 42 centimetres by 30 centimetres.
It's probably like this sort of size, yeah, like the newspaper printout size.
Absolutely. I've had letters, we've had with our personal names on. I've never come across anything like it. We've had phone calls.
Were they all in English or were they in other languages?
Pardon? Oh yeah. We've definitely had quite a few of them. You know, like we've had phone calls. I've had at least about 7 phone calls today, the ones that I've answered. We've had people...
What do they do? Do they say, who we're just phoning you?
Who was principally calling you?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, right, the worst 2 people that were calling me, right, was the Greens and the Labour. And even though I've spoken to them, I know it's the same lady, because I've always been polite, because there's no need for rudeness, because I know, like, some of my friends, right, they could probably, right, well...
But the reason you've been hounded, though, is you're on the pledge list for all the political parties. They all think you're one of their voters. Because that's why they will be...
How's that happened, Carol? You've been voting all over the place, have you?
Well, no, I haven't. That's the thing is, no, I haven't.
I think because you've been polite to them, what's happened is... Because today, you should only be contacted by a political party that you're voting for.
It's because you've been too polite, Carol.
I haven't. Other than the one that I actually stated that I have voted for.
Did you not? Did you vote today? You did vote, didn't you?
Yeah, of course I've voted.
And what was it like down the polling station? Did you see families going? Did you see families going into booths?
Pardon?
What did you see down there? Was there people outside?
Well, when we actually got down there, me and my husband, because like my son, he'd been working and he went afterwards and that. But when we actually got down there, it was quite packed actually, which was in the afternoon. But I mean, the phone calls that I had in the morning was just unbelievable, absolutely.
How did they get your number as well?
I don't know because I don't do Facebook, I don't do anything, I don't what you call it, believe me, I'm very, very private in that area.
What they do is they can get it from the phone book. Well, and they merge them together.
You know, like my mobile, I mean, my husband had messages, he's got him on his phone. You know, messages, we've never ever, of all my life, I've never ever had this. And then when we actually got to the station, you know, like there were the 2, there was Reform and the Greens. And I've got to say this, I'm very, very sorry, I've got to say this, but the people from the Greens, right, looked as if they were on summer, I can't tell you, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because of the idiot that they've got their leader with it. But
what were they jumping around and looking a bit funny in their eyes?
No, they just looked absolutely as if they needed a wash. They were absolutely
soap dodgers.
Shocking.
Well, that's for the environment, you know. They don't want to pour detergent.
And I was talking to the Reforms people first, which is being polite with it, and I just said to him as soon as I looked at him, I said, "Please, you've got no chance at all speaking to me," because they just absolutely. I mean, I know it was raining and whatever, but they looked absolutely.
Did they smell? Did they smell a bit as well? Did they smell?
Well, I didn't get that close. I did not get that close.
I think what they should have at Green Party meetings...
She had to go at him and just said, I totally agree with that lady. You need to get another bloody new leader. But it's just been horrendous. It's been...
What's it been like in the area for the last month? Has it been horrendous?
It's been shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Why? What? Just people...
Because you're just inundated with it, constantly brainwashed with it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I've never come across that in my life. Either, you know, like, you get put some stuff through the door, you know, like, that's okay. But it was a complete... You've got
harassment.
Harassment. By the way, can you give us an assessment of what you think's happened politically, or is it just been all about getting people to vote?
Yeah. What about your neighbours and all that?
Has there been actually much debate?
Do you know, my neighbours are frightened to death because don't forget, I mean, I don't know if you know or whatever, but my neighbours are frightened to death because Nigel Farage actually came to Crown Point and went into some of the businesses and went into some of the restaurants. Now, I don't know if he knew or whatever, but in one or two of the restaurants there, the people that were working there were threatened. Right, now this is only like what we've been told with it, because I don't do Facebook, I don't do what you call it.
Yeah,
so it
social media.
Seems right through. And the business, I mean, they were just having photographs taken, you know, like with any other...
So Nigel turns up and then they get hassled, the staff get hassled?
Yes.
Wow.
That's sort of how it rolls, isn't it?
It's been happening quite often.
Well, we saw this with the Jess Phillips election and elections with reform. You know, they're getting more like, you know, third world elections where people get violent outside stations.
And also, regarding with people having, I mean, I know one or two neighbours, you know, have been bravely put up the reform, you know, like thingies in the garden and whatever.
The reform thingy, yeah.
But because of that happening, people like, including myself, I won't have anything in my window. I won't have anything on me and because of everything that's going on. Yeah. It's just, I mean, I've got grandkids that stay at weekend. I don't want my windows through or anything like that. And that's how people have felt.
This is the state this country's in now.
Pardon?
This is the state this country's in.
And it is all anti-Farage, is it?
It's all...
Anti-Farage.
No, I mean, round here, people want change. You know, we've had, I mean, you know, like, people forget, you know, like, I mean, I'll be honest, right, we've been put on the map for a bit, right, how we are. 40-odd years of Labour or whatever, you know, like, with it. And then we had Andrew Gwynn, which is an absolute
Dreadful. I've got to be honest with you. Look, I'm not putting rose-tinted glasses on, and I'm not claiming it's perfect. But I thought Denton was lovely.
It is lovely. Denton is lovely, but the last 2 years, especially since Andrew Gwynn's gone, right, we've got pop-up shops, barbers. Yeah. It looks like Blackpool Illuminations, right, on Stockport Road. You know, like if you know the.
So
area
I'll tell you where I went. I got dropped off by my dad on, I think, Victoria Street, where there's a big park, and then I was in the Queen Victoria Square, I think it is, where the town hall is. And then I went, whilst my dad waited in the car, I went to the Istanbul kebab shop. But anyway, but what I like to do is I like to just have a wander around and talk to people. I don't really film stuff and whatever. I mean, I did make one video, but I thought it was lovely. And I thought what was interesting about this, and this is going to sound awful, but I was surprised at how British Denton remained. Because you always think...
It is very British. And I'll be honest, right, in a way, right, it is very, very British. And it's not in a way, right, where... Because I wouldn't live here. As you know, I've come from a side. I would not live here. But the thing is like, it just seems to have changed.
Yes.
As soon as Andrew Gwynn is gone. I mean, we've got, where I live, we've got a pub that's just been changed into a convenience shop, a barber's, and a takeaway that we don't need. We've got a lovely little shop across the road.
You did, but the other thing,
been there for years. He's been there.
But the other thing about Denton, which I noticed, was there's a lot more sort of bars opening, isn't there? So the pubs are closing and bars are opening, but there was a good selection of pubs still in Denton. You got the impression that community is alive and well in Denton.
Yes, it is. And also, we've got a fantastic cricket ground as well, several cricket grounds. You know, like...
What about Gorton, Carol? Do you ever
Not the Garden of Eden.
Well,
What's
Gorton,
it like there?
But Gorton is like... Well, it is slightly different than Denton. There's no doubt about it. It really is.
What's different?
Well, the difference
is... Well, it's in Manchester City, for a start, whereas Denton's in Tameside.
It's more attached to... not the city type of thing.
Yeah.
And it is. And it's you've got Longside, you've got... But no disrespect.
I remember Longside, bit of a hellhole alongside.
Well, the thing is, Dickens Road Market, right? Yeah. Dickens Road Market, I used to go there with my husband, with my friends, with my what you call it, or whatever. Yeah. It's massively changed.
Levenshulme, that was near there. Levenshulme as well.
It doesn't look like Britain. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. and I'm very careful of what I say. I'm not racialist or anything, and it really, really doesn't.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, what young Bob was talking about the other day, which we debated earlier with Pete Barnes, is he was talking about the infrastructure. And what he said obviously, if the church closes and a mosque opens, the place is going to be more Muslim, isn't it, right?
And it does, because you've got Hyde. You go around the corner, if you know the area, you go around the corner, right, you've got Asda, you've got a Muslim, community around there. It's literally been up in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Well, I will tell you something that is remarkable. One of my friend's dads died about 5 years ago, and he must have died age like 85 or something. But here is the remarkable thing. So he'd be about 90 now or something. He was the first Pakistani man to move to Keighley.
Wow.
Now, just think about that.
Yeah.
Keighley now is, 40% Muslim or whatever? I don't know, right? But that has happened in one man's lifetime.
He must have been a very popular man.
Yeah, so it's not as if it's happened over 5 generations.
No, I mean Handsworth, where I went to school, and Jenrick went round, didn't he, a few months ago, and said, "Look, it's always been pretty much since I was there in the 80s, been like that."
And it is, and the thing is that people are frightened to say anything regarding, and I'm getting that way now.
Because you get arrested. We live in this tyrannical regime.
And it is, and it's not. You talk about diversity. I absolutely want to hit somebody with it. This is not diversity.
Well, this is why you couldn't put a reform thing in your window. That's a symptom of it.
Pardon?
Well, it's the reason why you couldn't put something in your window.
The other problem is the police are afraid of the bad guys. Yeah. It's easier to bully the good guys.
We need that woman police officer who was there. I think it was a white chap.
The reality is, I've got a very wide definition of terrorism. I say that people who throw a brick through your window for having a poster are terrorists. The people who throw milkshakes on Nigel Farage are terrorists. Yeah. The people who disrupt meetings, aggravated trespass. And the reason is because there are people who will say, my political view is so important that people are not permitted to disagree with it. Yeah. If they disagree with it, I will throw something at them. And I think those people are all terrorists. And I think that you throw a milkshake at Nigel Farage because you don't have a gun.
And it's totally agreement. And the thing that I've noticed as well, because I have lived in a diversity world, and it was lovely, right? But it's not what we have. It's not what we've
different
got.
diversity.
So explain.
Honest to God, it's got nothing to do with what we've got now.
And the reason is because we had such mass migration after the Boris wave. When it was coming in small parts, even though they were one area, it was still they sort of blended in.
I think it started to drip. This has been dripping and dripping and dripping and dripping. And at the end of the day, if we really got to be honest, right, it's got nothing to do with racialists. No. It's to do with a culture.
It doesn't matter what race they are, white, brown, whatever. It's culture, like you said. Anyway, look, Carol,
but also it's important to bear in mind, and it's a point that we've made multiple times. People, as an example, who come from the Caribbean who are black actually find it very easy to integrate in Britain because they speak English. They're all Christians principally, and it's Jamaica's a pretty British place because of
similar to India. There were people from India who could
absolutely. So I don't think it's the racial background of somebody that's of any particular significance.
He's just gone back to Barbados. He's a really good friend of ours, right? He's just gone back to Barbados, and he's a dual, with Canada and Barbados. He cannot understand how the hell we are where we are.
Yeah.
Well, look at Canada.
Sweet, and he said, "I can't understand, Carol. I don't understand." I said,
but the plan is to move as many people to Britain from the third world as possible. That's just the plan. Yeah. It's not. What we're not doing is we're not saying we need these people. We're saying we just actively want as many
the population,
people.
Yeah.
We just we'll actively want as many destitute, backward people as we can find.
Anyway, Carol, we've got to go take a little break, and we'll be back with Alan and also Daniel, Heather, Julie, Ken, Chris, and you two. 03444 991 1000. We also got some WhatsApp messages. It's so full. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and I have to say to you, before we go to the WhatsApp messages, what a surprise. Manchester City Council have denied that there was family voting, and they said that they weren't made aware of the allegations. So even before the investigation, even before talking to the independent monitors, Labour at Manchester City Council have already dismissed the possibility that the voting was dodgy.
Yeah, but their party chair, Labour Party chair and MP Anna Turley told BBC Newsnight that reports of family voting in Gorton and Denton are extremely worrying, concerning, asking whether she would support the matter being referred to the authorities. She said, obviously, we need to see the evidence and the report and then make due decision about what the authorities should look into. So there's a different view from another Labour party and chair Anna Turley. But we've got a message from Pete, our WhatsApp, about Zach Polanski, the hypnotist. Let's hear it.
That goon, old Zach Polanski, doesn't get it, does he? With the Muslim infiltration of the Green Party, do you think that if they come out on top, they're going to put up with having him in charge? I doubt that very much. He stands for everything that they don't.
I've got to be honest with you. I think if there was to be a Green government where it's heavily dominated by Islamists, they'll just get rid of him.
He says, Zach Polanski says, I think it's important that there's a full transparency about the democratic process, and if the recommendation is that there should be an inquiry or further steps, then yes, I'd support that. Right, we got another WhatsApp message on vaccines from Ash. Good name.
Evening all, Ash from Preston. I'm sorry, I like reform, I vote reform, but David Bull is talking rubbish. He and Richard Tice both advocated for compulsory vaccines for everybody. Public mood has swung away from vaccines, and Andre is absolutely right. People no longer trust vaccines because of the COVID rollout.
Yeah,
but David Bull did admit that he was lied to by the Department for Health. This is somebody who, I think doctors were stunned when they discovered the level of dishonesty from Chris Whitty. By the way, just to explain what we were talking about with vaccines earlier, it was ludicrous when Whitty and Vallance and Van Tam claimed that that the COVID vaccine was 100% safe 100% of the time. No medical procedure is 100% safe, and it doesn't matter that a medical procedure carries a risk. What matters is if you lie about that risk, because now people won't take vaccines, MMR or anything.
Well, that happened, didn't it, with you? And also, Dr. Dave said his mother has got cancer and he suspects it's actually from the vaccine. And he's a doctor. He knows about these sort of things. Right, let's go to Alan in Essex. All right, Alan.
Come on, Alan. Come on, Alan.
Come on, Alan.
Come on, Alan. Come on, lad.
You all right?
We're all right, man. How are you? How are you, geezer? All right.
I'm good. I'm a bit of a political geek, so I'm sitting up for the old by-election myself.
Good.
I must say, it is so lovely and refreshing to hear you guys having a chat, because this is the kind of banter and chat that me and my mates have down the pub, and this needs to be a little bit more
high level.
Like it needs to be bigger. Yeah, 100. But I will just say a couple of things, if I might. First thing, do you not think that they should maybe change the electoral law a little bit to stop this kind of tactical voting? Like, for example, say an election is called, whether it's a general election or whether it's a by-election, as soon as that has been called, right, that no one should be able to start making these websites saying, okay,
well, I'll tell you what they do in France. There comes a point where it's illegal to have any opinion polls. And the reason they do that is because you get to, say, 2 weeks before the election or whatever period it is, and you can't tactically vote because you don't know what the opinion polls are.
You don't know, exactly. If you know what the polls are beforehand, absolutely fine, right? But you can't tactically vote if, say, for example, like in the general election, if someone was doing quite well and then they end up being a bit dank, right? Then everyone starts going, okay, we'll vote for that person. No. We need to stop all this nonsense. It should be one vote per person, and it should be you're voting for who you want to be in power, not for anything else.
Yes.
And also the manifesto should be legally binding. If you mislead Parliament, you have to resign. I think if you mislead the public...
No, I disagree with that, because you can make a manifesto pledge during the general election, and then when you get into it, maybe, that's something you want to do, but it's not possible.
What about my other? What about?
Yeah, but if it's blatant.
What about this for an idea? What about adding reopen? What about adding reopen nominations to the ballot paper? It's the old. If you've been to university, you'll be very aware of this. That in a student union election, you can vote for none of them. And what happens is the winner of the election, reopen nominations, is just that the election will be reheld, so other candidates can enter the race.
So if it's a spoiled paper and enough people spoiled paper, then you can rerun.
Yeah. So what you would do as an example. Let me think of a good example. Tatton in 1997, where everybody was Conservative, but they didn't want Neil Hamilton. So you just vote. Reopen nominations, and then the election is rerun.
And also, we should be able to have a vote of no confidence, the population, like we do have those 100,000, if you get 100,000 votes. We should be able to vote no confidence. The population should ultimately have democratic control.
But this is why I disagree, because I'm a little bit of a stickler for some rules, and when it's a general election, you vote for whoever you want to win based upon a 5-year term. So...
Yeah, but if they cock up, we should have the right to pull them off.
I don't know. Oh, matron.
Like the hook on the stage, we would have done that with Starmer. We would have gone, oh, he's really messing up the country. Let's all get a vote together.
But then you look at our I was going to swear then. You look at how terrible everything was with the bloody Tories, and how many times we changed leader with them. We weren't happy with this, weren't happy with that. Change, and it just literally destroyed.
Well, maybe when we remove a leader like Angela Rayner said, we should have a general election.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I'll tell you what I'd be tempted to do. Take the name and party description off the ballot paper. So if you think about it, up until about, what is it?
No democracy.
No, up until, it was only in 1997 that they put the logos, party logos. But I remember my mum saying that she voted in 1979, I think it might have been the last year, where they just had the name and address of the candidate. That's it.
Thatcher got in.
Where are you in Essex, Alan?
I'm in Westcliff, so I'm just outside Southend.
Westcliff.
Hang on, it's not where Lois Perry lives.
That's Lois Perry's area.
Lois Perry lives there.
Do you see her around the shops and that, down the marketplace?
No one sees me. I'm like a ninja in the night.
So what's going on in Westcliff? I remember there was a bit of trouble down there in the streets, wasn't there? With
yeah.
A machete fight. I remember seeing.
Yeah, that was literally, because I live in a converted mansion, right? And just outside my window, But just outside my window is like the main stretch, and it's where a lot of people, a lot of guys, boys with their cars, ramping up and down on a Sunday night. That's where the machete fights.
They have all the XR3Is down Essex, don't they, down there?
Apparently, I
like it. I like Essex. I'll tell you why I like. I'll tell you why I'm a big fan of Essex.
I love Essex.
It's great. It's really historical.
It's the most entrepreneurial place in the United Kingdom.
It's very British. Very British.
Also, the thing is with them, whatever you think about the styling, whatever you think about the new money stuff, whatever you know, you can be critical of all of them. But there is a work culture.
Yeah.
There is a stand up.
They're pioneers, aren't they?
Stand up for yourself culture, and there's a commitment to actually working hard culture, which I think is
and
great.
They party hard as well.
I'm going to bring something else up, and it was what you were talking about recently, just with the last lady from Manchester. When you were talking about cultural, right? Me and my family have lived in East London all of our lives. I can trace like my nan, my great nan, my great nan.
You've all left there, haven't you? You've all been pushed out in a way.
Everyone in Essex
come from the East End.
Comes from East London.
Yeah. Yes.
And do you know what? I in 2007, right? This was I started studying, and I was based in Whitechapel, and the reason that everyone in Essex lives in Essex is because of how the culture has changed, and it's not a racist thing; it is a cultural.
Doesn't matter what race it was. You lost the area basically. Doesn't irrelevant who it was.
Listen, I'm white. I'm also Irish, so I'm a bit ginger, right? I'm not against anyone. I don't care. If everyone pays their ways, everyone respects the culture, and everyone does what they want to do, then absolutely fine. But I can tell you now quite easily. If you walk out of Whitechapel train station, I mean, we saw this with the video the other day, right? With the police lady that was protecting.
She was brilliant. Yeah, they should all be like her. Yeah.
Mate, I swear down, for a young, very short white woman to stand up to 5 Muslim men in masked faces, like, I have utmost respect for her.
Yeah.
This has been happening in East London. I'm 39
since
now.
the 80s, isn't it? The 80s, isn't it?
Since I can remember, this has been happening. And when you were speaking to that lovely lady from Manchester,
Carol,
she started to say, "Oh yeah, all the culture wars and all this." Yo, this is what we've had for like 20 years.
Yeah, it's true.
40 years.
But if you think about the East End now, you think about curry and Bangladesh, don't you? I mean, you don't think of Cockneys. I mean, I went to Bevis Marks when I ran for Port Soken in the city elections, where I lost badly. But Bevis Marks has 12 regular worshippers, right? It used to be one of the biggest synagogues, or the most popular synagogues in Europe. But I've got a friend of mine who still owns a building in Whitechapel, and she says, look, my husband takes his skull cap off if he walks around Whitechapel. You don't want to identify yourself as a Jew around there.
Bro, you can't, unless you identify as a Muslim around that area, then you're gonna get trouble. You're gonna get beaten.
Well, you might not get trouble, but you could do it. You're not going to definitely. People go for a curry there and don't get beaten up. You know what I mean? Brick Lane. It's not like you're definitely going to get beaten up.
Down Brick Lane.
I remember me and James Whale went down there and we went into a curry house and these guys came up and went, "You're on our turf. This is our turf," and all like that.
Really?
I mean, they do consider it their turf. It's now their area.
It is their turf.
Yeah.
They call it their turf.
And it is in a way.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm like bisexual, right? So sometimes there's been times I walk down the road in skinny jeans. I know, terrible.
Depends what day of the week it is, yeah.
It's always a weekend, son. No, but I walk down the road and I've had people come up to me going, "You can't be here." I'm not going to swear, but you can't be here.
Well, they had that. Trump talks about the police. They're the Islamic police, and people said it was rubbish, but there were people going around going, "You can't."
Yeah, well, they used to put up signs. They put up signs in Commercial Road saying no dogs or miniskirts.
They're trying to ban dogs in certain areas now. Camden are trying to actually.
Not only that. just by Brook Lane. It used to be called Globe Town. They renamed it. I think it was in the late 90s. Globe Town.
Blowtown.
Globe Town, Globe, Globe Town.
Right.
They renamed it in the 90s to Banglatown.
Oh, yeah, Banglatown. And they wanted to change the tube station to Banglatown, but luckily they didn't do that.
But
I know, they've put the Urdu writing on it. Yeah, they've put on Whitechapel Station, haven't they? Yeah.
I'll tell
you what I thought was remarkable.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, talking of the number of migrants in a particular area. I arrived at Heathrow Airport to fly to Manchester. Oh, by the way...
there'll be a lot of migrants there.
Priority Pass did me over. I've been subscribing for that VIP pass for about 6 years, and the card didn't work. They said it hadn't started anyway. But, so, I got there, and I have to say, every single member of staff at Heathrow Airport was Asian. No, I know that part of West London is very Asian, but there weren't any white staff there. It was amazing.
I went to an Argos like that once, and there was just 7 women all wearing exactly the same burqa, and then a man running it all. And I thought, why is it all? Where's anyone else there? Anyway, 03444991000. We'll be back with some religious instruction from Ken in London.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, let's be honest, what has happened here? All 14 mosques in Gorton and Denton have told their people to turn up en masse, and the reason we've seen so much family voting is the people that are turned up to vote Green are just not used to going to the ballot box. And so, but it's amazing to see see Manchester City Council deny that there was any family voting. 68%, I think, of polling stations were reported as having this problem. I believe we're going to court, Asher.
Well, Farage has claimed a report of high levels of illegal family voting in the Gorton and Denton by-election raises serious questions about the integrity of the democratic process in predominantly Muslim areas. On Thursday night, an election observer group raised concerns over what it called concerningly high levels of family voting in a constituency. Democracy volunteers said they attended 22 or 45 polling stations in the constituency, spending 30 to 45 minutes in each, and witnessed family voting in 15 of the 22 polling stations. The group said they observed a sample of 545 individuals casting their votes and saw 32 cases of family voting in total, including 9 cases in one voting. And it's a legal practice, family voting, where 2 voters either confer, collude or direct each other on voting, and can involve husbands telling their wives out of votes. Is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. OK, let's go to Ken in London. By the way, just to be clear to everyone, the Gorton and Denton by-election, the count is underway. Verification has ended. We are expecting the results about 3 o'clock. I'm going to talk sport after this.
Is that Benedict Fletcher?
No, It's Paul Ross, because it's Friday
It's
morning.
Paul Ross, that's
yeah,
right.
so obviously on the TV you're not going to watch this, but if you're on the radio, I will be heading to
Is he going to
Talksport.
come and have a little chat to us
I
before?
don't know, maybe he will.
Ken, your words, your wise words, please.
God bless you, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call. I would like to talk about a change the subject a wee bit, if you don't mind.
No, you
about
can do.
a very important issue. What is the most dangerous, violent religion on earth that has caused the most death and slaughter in history?
Is it the Quakers?
No. Let me read out the 5 largest. You tell me what you think the answer is. Islam's got 2 billion disciples. Roman Catholicism, 1.4 billion. Hinduism, 1.2 billion disciples. Atheistic secularism, 1.2 billion. Evangelical and Pentecostal Christianity,
We know the answer, Ken,
almost
don't
1
we?
billion.
We all
Which
know
is
the
the answer?
Well, we
Which
know
is
the
most
answer, don't we?
dangerous religion?
Look, well, it depends. It depends what timescale you're talking about. I think historically Christians have behaved quite badly, haven't they?
Oh, you're way out. You're way out.
No, there's been about 76,000, I heard Gad Sad, 76,000 Islamic terrorist attacks in something like 20 years.
Oh, recently,
around the world.
Recently, there is no doubt the religion of peace has been excelling itself.
The recorded history reveals that the most bloodthirsty century on earth was the 20th century. More people were killed in the 20th century than in all the...
Well, that's because of wars as well, and communism, and, Stalin, Hitler.
Let me explain to you. Let me tell you what the truth... I'm telling you the truth. This can be checked out. The most dangerous century in history was the 20th century. There was more people died in the 20th century than the combined 19 centuries before it.
Yeah, but that's because of Mao and Stalin and Hitler. That's tens of millions, hundreds of millions altogether.
The atheistic secularism was the cause of the greatest deaths in history in the 20th century.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Atheistic
Well, because it's communism, it's political, wasn't it? It was all communism and Nazism.
Listen to this. I've checked this out. Atheist Mao Zedong caused the death of 50 million people.
Unbelievable.
Atheist Stalin of Russia caused the death of approximately 30 million. Atheist Pol Pot slaughtered 2 million of his own people. Hitler, who was an atheist, caused the death of 40 million people and approximately 6 or 7 million Jews.
Yes.
Hitler was a devil-driven hater of Jews and
It's
Christianity.
authoritarianism, really, that is the killer.
But the big issue is, what you are implying there is something which I don't think you're very keen on, that it's better to be a Hindu than an atheist.
No, well, that's up to each individual. We're just talking about history here.
Yes.
This is historical facts. I'm not talking to you about religion.
Is that? Can I ask you this question? Can I ask you this question?
The most dangerous religion on earth is atheism.
But that wasn't any of those millions of deaths. That
Okay,
wasn't,
but let me ask you this: is it possible to have a proper moral compass and be an atheist, in your view?
Impossible.
No,
Why?
it's not. You can be a good person and be an atheist.
Where does the moral compass come from? It doesn't evolve from
your heart, from empathy, from having empathy for people.
So what's
you don't need to have religious.
What an atheist?
No, we are born with a conscience given to us by God. The conscience cannot evolve from chemicals. It is a spiritual realm. It comes from God. Every person has a conscience to know right from wrong, and that cannot evolve from chemical matter.
No, but it's empathy. It's going, would I like that to happen to me? No, it's,
Listen, this is very important. There was 150 million people killed in the 20th century by atheists. So when people come on and say the religion causes war, they are right. But
if Christopher Hitchens was sat here now, what he would say is that if you asked people to write out what rules you should have for a well-ordered society, they would write that basically the 10 Commandments, even if they weren't Christians. Do you see what I mean? He says it's instinctive.
Apart from the coveting your neighbour's ass.
Yeah, God has established his law in our hearts. Did you know that in France, 40% of the population are atheistic? In UK, 37% believe in the religion of atheistic secularism in the UK. The UK is under threat not only from Islam, which is a dangerous religion, but the most dangerous religion is atheistic secular fundamentalism.
Thanks, Ken. Right, let's go to Heather in Gurvan. Heather.
Hello, Ash, and hello, Andrew.
Hello.
How are you two?
All right, man. We're all right. How are you, Heather? You all right?
It's a long time we've had a chat, us three people.
Not that long.
About Mandelson, about this all Epstein. I know we've got to be careful what we're going to say because it's still ongoing, these investigations. And what Lindsay Hoyle was saying, I was watching it.
He grassed them up, didn't he? And he didn't expect the police.
He admitted that he was.
Well, he had to because the police divulged it. They shouldn't have done it under protocol, and he got found out being a grass.
I know. And now with latest revelations about these missing emails. I've got my suspicions on this. I think those missing email messages are being deleted.
Well, you know, there's a case going on. I don't think there's been charges yet, but there is in the arrest phase, so we've got to be careful. We'll go to Daniel in shop.
I mean, let's just, without doing sub judice, it is surprising that all the emails have disappeared. Let's just say that.
Like that safe that got accidentally broken into, and Romeo lost the bullying investigation went missing accidentally. We'll be back with Daniel in Shropshire. It's Talk with Andre and Ash, Herbie, Julia, Heather. Oh no, we just had Heather. Grace and Chris in Epsom. Back after this.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's go straight to the phones. Let's go to Daniel in Shropshire. Daniel, you are on Talk.
Hi, Andre. Hi, Ash.
All right, Dan.
I tell you, I mean, they reckon the Muslim population in Britain is about 7%. I reckon it's more about 10 to 12% at the moment. But if this is how bad sectarian voting is now, wait until that population is at 25, 30%.
Yes.
Well, that's what. That's what they're aiming for.
I'm just gonna say this: experiences in India is where the population gets to about 30%. It can get quite nasty, simply because. I make this point. It's not Muslims are bad people. Fairly obviously they're not. But it's a very evangelical religion. They want to convert people, and therefore, what Asher will do as a Jew and what I will do as a Catholic is just get on with my own thing. Whereas what a Muslim will do is they will want to start converting people onto.
Well, Ken would like to convert people.
Oh yeah, but Ken is an evangelical. Most Christians are not actually evangelical.
But you see, what's more concerning me is what we're seeing is what I call, well, some people call the Red-Green Alliance, the alliance between radical leftists and Islamists.
The Islamoleft.
Yeah. I mean, even Mohsin Ali, the Greens deputy, even he posted some, I think it was a shirt or shirt he had made or something, literally saying Islamo-Marxist on it. Yeah. And the thing is, history has shown us that leftists form alliances with Islamists because they have a shared hatred of Western civilization.
Yes.
Yeah, but then they end up getting murdered, like in Iran.
Well, it's not just Iran. It's happened in
Lebanon,
Egypt, Gaza.
Egypt. Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see that? We're all on the same side. No, we're not. During
the whole Middle East was Christian, hundreds of years ago.
The thing is, though, when you try to tell leftists you are aware you're being you're being used.
Yes.
They essentially turn around and go, "Oh, you're just racist."
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. People like Anjam Chowdhury, people like the Ayatollah, working with the political left, they are not idiots. They know full well that the lefties are stupid enough.
They're well organised, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, if the Green Party gets into power on a Gaza ticket, Zach Polanski is not going to be the Prime Minister. Let's just be clear on that. They're not gonna put a Jew in charge. It's not going to happen. Let's live in the real world.
No, what will happen is, say for example, if they won by a majority and they had a large Muslim portion of MPs, they're instantly going to call vote a no confidence and vote in one of them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because what they would say is, they would say legitimately, look, we vote on our religion, therefore, if the Muslims have won the election, the Muslims will want to pick the Prime Minister. That's what they'll say.
Maybe he'd convert.
I think what we need to do is, I think we need to move to the modern day Germany style of democracy, which is called militant democracy, which is essentially their version of democracy is, so they have a democracy, but...
Yeah, but they're arresting people even worse than us for saying ridiculous things now.
Well, the way they do it is, if a political party is deemed a threat to democracy or has any sort of inkling that they could spell the end of democracy, Germany just outright bans them.
Yeah, but they do that with the AfD and parties that, the left would ban people like Farage by saying things like that. That's what would happen there.
Do you remember Pim Fontaine from the Netherlands? And basically what he said was, in order to protect a liberal society, we need to start turfing out migrant groups that are trying to subvert the country.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood, I've already said a long time, the Muslim Brotherhood is behind Labour.
They're poison. They are a poison. How on earth we are in a position where the United Arab Emirates has made British organisations prescribe terrorist groups? I mean, it's just to protect the Islamic world from Islamists.
Anyway, thanks, Daniel. Let's go to Grace in London. Grace.
Hi.
Hi, morning.
A couple of things. I mean, you mentioned Ken being an evangelical, and I just wanted to say quickly that word gets seriously misused across the pond, and now that misuse is kind of creeping in here.
What does it mean then?
Well, that's...
in America, it means singing and doing all the acrobatics.
Yes, I
like that. I'd like to go to one of those services.
Christian aerobics.
Yeah, like James Brown in the Blues Brothers.
Evangel means good news, and so the good news is that Jesus offers us eternal life, salvation, and joy if we choose to turn to him. However, unfortunately, in America, the word has come to be particularly associated with a specific sector of politics. And so now quite often people label themselves as evangelical, even if they don't even particularly have much interest in Christianity. And sometimes here, people now use the word referring to Trump supporters, when actually that's not what it means.
But there are people who come on this show who strongly defend cultural Judeo-Christian values and say, I'm not massively religious, but, I like the fact that Britain is a predominantly Christian country, and I'm going to support that because I believe that is the best thing for our culture. So I think Asher's a fine example, because Asher is not going to become a Christian, but he's supportive of Britain being a generally Christian society. And I think it is worth when you're talking about government, when you're talking about culture, when you're talking about society, it is worth pointing out that you can legitimately want Britain to be a Christian society without being a massive Christian.
Yes, I wouldn't want it to be anything else.
You could want that, but I'd be interested to talk to those people about what their beliefs are, because ultimately, if there is endless joy beyond this lifetime, that's quite a big discussion to have, and to just disregard.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to.
But to pretend that culture is the only thing that matters, I think.
No, I don't want to put words into Asher's mouth. But one would assume what he would say is, I am from a small religious group in the UK. That religious group, I believe, is protected by having a majority Christian country. And I think that Britain will be better as a majority. It's not going to become a majority Jewish country. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is. Anyway, look, we've got to go, Grace, because we're short of time. Let's quickly go to Herbie and Harry, and then we talk to Paul Ross about what's going on in this show, which Andre's going to be on later on TalkSport and TalkTV. Herbie goes bananas.
Good morning, everybody.
All right,
I don't know about the family voting problem. I think the biggest problem is the postal voting system, because nobody knows who's filling in that form.
It's ridiculous. And that's why they do it. That's why they use it. They use it to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole system, the whole system worked brilliantly when you had to vote in person. That made it easy, because you could register any name. It wouldn't matter, because you're not going to turn up and vote 5 times, are you? Right? That's going to be ludicrous, because they're going to know it's you.
If you wear a burqa, you get away with it, won't you?
Indeed.
You know what I mean?
Herbie, thank you so much.
Thanks, Herbie. Paul Ross has joined us.
Hello, guys. Great show as ever. How you doing?
Paul Ross, we've missed Paul Ross Day, haven't we? It's the 11th. It's the 11th of January, isn't it?
I think it might be, yeah. As declared by Ali G and Sacha Baron Cohen.
No, it was Borat.
Borat did it,
Borat claimed
They're all the same person, though.
He is big in Uzbekistan. It is very big, isn't it, Paul Ross Day?
Yes.
So what's going on? You're doing a show with him after.
The great man is on hand to help us out with the Gould and Denton.
No, I heard it's Andre doing it.
Oh, you see, he's very cutting. We're also previewing the big game tonight, one for you. Of course, Wolves versus Aston Villa.
Yes, Wolves Villa.
And we've got an amazing story from a place that this month, 40 years ago, nobody would have heard of unless you were in the area. April the 26th, 1986, Chernobyl explodes.
Oh, of course.
And we've got a scientist on, an American woman from Princeton University, who's been studying the wolves in the area, which have become genetic mutants and are now cancer resistant. So they're looking at whether we can take that genetic change into human beings, human medicine. It's an amazing story.
They've punched a hole in the protective barrier around Chernobyl. It's going to have to be done again.
Yeah. That's going to be big. When the builder comes around, he's going to go...
1,000 square miles it covers that exclusion zone.
Why do Ukrainians wear magnetised flies?
I've got a horrible feeling you're going to tell me.
Chernobyl fallout.
But you know that bombshell, he's with me all night, God help me.
Do you remember when they said you can't eat the Welsh sheep because of the Chernobyl fallout? And, you know, but if that means we can't eat, it means it went all over us, didn't it? And now we wonder why it's 1 in 2 get cancer. I think we know all these nuclear and radiation.
Why some beards are going grey prematurely. Could be that.
I'm only 28.
I'll tell you the one thing that people forget about Chernobyl, it was a horrendous disaster. If you look at Russian soldiers now where they've invaded, they've dug trenches at Chernobyl and got radioactive poisoning.
Well, the weird thing about these wolves is they're apex predators, so they eat the creatures that eat the plants that are radiated, that grow in the radiated soil, so it's a completely closed circle. But there's 7 times the wolves.
It's given them superpowers.
They're cancer resistant, most of them.
That is interesting. From something that would normally give you cancer.
Absolutely.
Although what it might have done, of course, what might have happened was all of those that are susceptible to cancer have now died.
So that's the other theory. That it's survival of the fittest, but compressed. Normally it would take millennia.
But there would be some genetic.
That's probably what. So the ones who've got cancer and the ones that just wouldn't get.
I've got to be honest with you. One of my mates went to Chernobyl, which I wouldn't do, and then he said, "Oh, I nicked something from Pripyat High School, and it's up in my house." I was thinking, the problem is people are blasé about all this.
Yeah, but the thing is, at night, if there's a power cut, it glows in the dark, it flies back to bed, can't it?
Every mushroom cloud has its silver lining. So what else? You're doing the Gorton and Denton...
Doing that throughout the night. Yeah, I'm not sure when the result's going to come in, but Andre's on hand for us.
Well, have you seen the news that it's going to, like, they're all moaning that it's been family voting, it's illegal. It looks like there's going to be big problems with this vote.
I think it's ethnic voting. I think the 14 mosques have told everyone to vote Green.
I think if Labour come in third, though, That's surely got to be it for Keir Starmer, isn't it?
Well, he's just kept going for so long.
He's the knight from the Monty Python films, isn't he? He's but a scratch.
Yeah, a fresh wound.
I think what's more interesting, I don't know, but I think what's more interesting is Denton, which is a traditional Labour red wall seat. I think, you know, Gorton's a bit funny because obviously it's Manchester City Centre, City Council. I think, has Nigel Farage taken the red wall off Labour is a much more interesting question than whether they've won the seat overall.
So great stuff. Andre Walker joins us. Great show as ever, guys. So what do you reckon your prediction for tonight? Wolves at Molineux.
Yeah.
If you beat them, it'd be the first time you've done the double over in a season since 2004.
We're at our best, aren't we? So
we've had a wobble recently.
We've had a couple of wobbles, but I think we'll. You don't know yet. It's a local derby, isn't it? So you never know really what's going to happen in that.
He's on the fence.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but are the derbies named after the Earl of Derby, who's a Scouser?
You know, I've got no idea where the word Derby comes from.
Something Paul Ross doesn't know.
Well, many things, yeah.
Apparently it's from the Epsom Derby.
I think the Earl of Derby sponsored Liverpool